The third exercise. Try twisting your foot left and right without lifting your toes off the floor.
On that body and she feel like a hit though, but the groove's on the retro. Cold, somebody get a flick. Cold, somebody get a flick though. It don't make sense though, really though. Lying on that body and she feel like a hit though, but the groove's on the retro. Cold, somebody get a flick though. It don't make sense though.
I teamed up with Brooks and one of the top PTs to bring you a warm-up routine to help with your biomechanics, to help you running pain-free. Let's get started. All right, so we're gonna start by warming up the ankles. First, we're gonna start with inversion, eversion. So with just your right foot, we're going to roll the ankle in and out. And then change sides. So we want all the joints to be able to move in their full range of motion. And by going through this dynamic warm-up, it's going to help us to run pain-free as we allow the joints to go through their full range of motion before we get into the run. Then next, we're going to rock on the ankles, forward and back. So if balance is difficult, here you can do this with your fingertips against the wall or your hand against the wall. So not only are we getting some dorsal and plantar flexion here for the ankle, but also we're helping to strengthen our calf muscles and our anterior tibialis. These muscles will help the ankles to stay healthy as well as the knees. Next, we're going to get some hip flexion. So bring your knee up towards your chest and then rotate your thigh and bring your foot up, catching the outside of the foot if possible. And then change sides. And let's go forward and back doing this. You can even add a little reverse movement and forward movement like you're walking. Now bring your knuckles to your temples with your thumbs pointed down, open up across your chest. As you exhale, bring your left knee up and twist, right elbow comes towards the knee. Change sides. So now we're establishing hip flexion with rotation. We're gonna need good rotation for the gait when we're running. Also helping to open up the shoulders and the chest, which no one wants a tight shoulders or chest, right? At the stand, now we're gonna do leg swings. You can use a wall for support. Bring your weight over into your left leg and just like a pendulum, let your right leg swing back and forth. Go for the range of motion that feels comfortable from you and try to isolate the movement of your thigh bone and your hip socket. So it's not about how far you can go and borrowing from the lower back, but instead keeping a core connection by focusing on the rib cage, aiming straight down to the pelvis as you swing your leg. And then change sides, forward and back, the pendulum. Aiming for about 10 on each side. And then we're gonna do side to side. So facing the wall with both hands at the wall, swing your right leg side to side. And change sides. Then with your hands at the wall, we're going to step back into a stretch position for the ankle. And then we'll try lifting the heels up and down. And if you can, rock up and back with both feet at the same time. Otherwise, you can just focus on stretching one heel down at a time. If it's too rough on the ankles, stick with one heel at a time. All right, then we'll do a little bit of arm circles to further warm up the shoulders. So turn your palms up, curl your fingers in with your thumbs pointed back. Keep your rib cage aimed down instead of puffing out to stretch your arms. We'll just do 10 of these. And then change the rotation. So with the thumbs pointed down, internally rotate. All right, then our final warm up here, take your feet outer hips distance apart. Either grab your shins or your big toes. Slowly lower your buttocks towards the ground. Lift your heart up. And then lift your hips up into the air. Let your head drop. Slowly control your hips down. Lift your heart up. And lift your hips up. 3 more. On your inhalation, slowly lower. And on your exhalation, lift up. Then hang in your forward fold for a moment with your legs as straight as you can. Roll yourself up to stand. Stand up tall, open up your heart. Roll your chin in and down, roll back down. One more time, roll yourself up. And roll down. Roll yourself up. And you're ready to run. So this class should be practiced before your run. But I'm going to put a link below to a full body yoga class that you can practice after your run.
वर्कआउट से पहले आप प्रॉपर वार्म अप करते हो तो इंजरी होने के चांसेस आपको कम होते हैं। दूसरा, आपको ज्यादा रिजल्ट्स मिलते हैं। लेग्स के वर्कआउट से पहले आपने वार्म अप किस तरह से करना है, 3 स्टेप्स हैं। स्टेप नंबर 1, इस पोजीशन में आके मैक्सिमम आगे आपने जाना है जितना जा सकते हो, एंड देन अपने पंजे को ऊपर उठाने की कोशिश करनी है। आप उठा नहीं पाओगे लेकिन उठाने की कोशिश करनी है 3 सेकंड्स के लिए। देन आपने वापस आना है, 10 रेप्स इस तरफ से, 10 रेप्स इस तरफ से। देन दूसरी मोबिलिटी एक्सरसाइज आपके हिप्स के लिए इस तरह से स्वास्तिक का निशान बनाना है अपनी लेग से। धीरे धीरे आगे जाओगे, जितना आप मैक्सिमम आगे जा सकते हो। 3 सेकंड्स के लिए अपने घुटने को जमीन के अगेंस्ट प्रेस करना है। देन वापस 10 रेप्स इस साइड से, 10 रेप्स इस साइड से। एंड देन स्टेप नंबर 2, जो एक्सरसाइज आप पहले लगाओगे, मोस्ट प्रोबेबली आप स्क्वाट लगाओगे, तो उसके 2 सेट्स लाइट वेट के साथ परफॉर्म करोगे। इसके बाद स्टेप नंबर 3, जो भी मूवमेंट आप पहले लगाने जा रहे हो, जैसे कि स्क्वाट हम लगाने जा रहे हैं, उससे पहले उसी मूवमेंट के 3 रेप्स एक्सप्लोसिव तरीके से परफॉर्म करेंगे। जैसे स्क्वाट्स के लिए है जंप स्क्वाट्स, याद रखना सिर्फ 3 या 4 एक्सप्लोसिव रेप्स लगाने के तुरंत बाद अपने मेन वर्कआउट की तरफ चले जाना।
The morning rises and I'm fast asleep, somewhere off in the master suite, having dreams of Latin queens and nasty freaks. My mind it wanders to places yonder and even farther when I'm sleepwalking.
किसकी है?
गाड़ी शोर मचाए सुनियो, आंखें खोल मिलाए सुनियो, चाल चलन दे अरे चाकू बच के रहियो, लड़के हैं डाकू। गाड़ी शोर मचाए।
These are 6 exercises for a nice and straight back. First, stand up and point your arms diagonally. The second exercise involves directing your arm forward, so your spine's axis moves symmetrically from right to left. Pass the exercise behind your back without letting your hands touch the floor. Then on straight arms, lower and raise your body. This will cause your shoulder blades to move inward and outward. Finish up with circular movements of your shoulders.
You will never reach your full calisthenics potential with a weak core. Switch up your planks with some variety and reach the next level. Let's go. Wide plank, reverse plank, wall plank, plank reach, reverse lean plank.
Just get your shit and go. Man, that's a bird.
Take me away, girl, somewhere you won't be. Hold me closely, look at me, don't speak. Will you follow me wherever my mind goes?
Here are 2 exercises for the mobility of your thoracic spine. First up, get on your elbow and lower those armpits down. Just remember to keep your knees at a 90-degree angle. The second exercise is pretty much the same, except you perform it with straight arms. If you enjoyed the video, smash that like button and subscribe for more fun workouts.
I'm feeling good. Fish in the sea, you know how I feel. River running free, you know.
My pony, my saddle, swing, coming, jump on it, if you want it, let's do it. Ride it, my pony, my saddle, swing, coming, jump on it. My pony, coming, jump on it.
How do I stretch my upper back? You could do this and my lower back. Do this. How do I stretch my bicep? Do this and my tricep. Do this. Shoulders. Do this. What about chest? Do this and my abs. Do this. What about glute? Do this and quads. Do this. Hamstrings. Do this. Calves. Do this. That was so helpful. I'm gonna follow you for more useful videos just like this.
Forever life, but never nice. We expedite the process. And every night I get advice, cause life is way too complex. Heaven's lights are hella bright. Ironic how that came to be, but can't you see this angel speak? She's saying a place is safe for me. I told her wait for me, the make believer normally disguised. Transform before your eyes and
How does that feel?
Tight.
All right,
It's not right.
let's improve that. First stretch, the hip flexor thrust. On your knees, tuck your pelvis, and you're gonna push your hips forward. And we're gonna do it for 30 reps.
30.
Feel the stretch in the quads and the hip flexors.
Oh, I feel it.
And sit back.
It doesn't. I don't know if you guys can see any movement happening right now.
The tighter you are, the harder this is gonna be, but stick with it. I promise it's worth it. Ooh. Go ahead and walk / crawl after that.
I promise it feels good.
How does it feel?
The biggest thing I notice is like just an immediate release of tension in my back.
Yes. Second exercise, this might be counterintuitive, but we are going to do our cobra stretch.
Really?
Yep. Anchor those toes, flex your quads, lift your chest up to the ceiling, but through length. Hold that at whatever position is comfortable for you. 30 seconds.
I've never done this with quads.
Yes.
Glutes flexed.
2, 1. Go ahead and sit back towards your heels if you can.
Oh.
Yeah, go ahead and lengthen through that back as much as possible. And relax. And
That was intense. I just didn't realize how badly I needed that. I almost cramped right from the start, and then it just released. And I felt like a stretch here that I've never felt before.
Exercise 3, if you didn't know, one of your quads, your rectus femoris, is actually also a hip flexor. So we're gonna do a rear foot elevated hip flexor stretch. Oh yeah. Breathing deeply, we're gonna hold for around 30 seconds or so. Come on out of that stretch. Go ahead and stand up for a second. Try and take a couple steps here. Yeah. Without dying. Don't feel the need to rush through this. You can rest in between sets.
I think this side's even tighter.
Chest upright. 2, 1. Coming out of that stretch.
Oh, where am I? I just feel like one of those bobbly, wobbly.
All right, let's do our test. Hips down toward the floor. There you go. This is incredible. Oh my goodness. So I'm gonna show a before and after. This is actually insane. How does this feel?
That feels nice.
Does this feel particularly intense?
No, that's actually the coolest part.
You were screaming in agony at the beginning.
Like, I'm chilling it.
Stay flexy, man.
Yeah, that's nice.
Pela madrugada, de sabia, sabe que caixinha, maracajá, vou de matita, pereça, se perere, boi nadar, boi nadar, boi nadar, de celere, por el suelo, como se riega, por el
I bet my husband $300 that he couldn't complete the 21-day calisthenics challenge from Muscle Monster. Not only did he complete the challenge, but he got on this app every day. Workouts don't require any weight, just your body weight. This workout challenge you can do from anywhere, anytime. Forget about pricey gym memberships and personal trainers because you can do this just by using the app from the comfort of your own home. You don't need any previous fitness experience to do these workouts. Get a personalized workout plan just for you by tapping below and trying out this challenge by Muscle Monster today.
Steve Jobs run Peter Parker, a genius author, a Jesus preaching just to feed his daughter. The weed to spark up, yeah, he's a goner. Fuck these prima donnas. I always wonder what happened 3,000 years ago. I like to toy with the idea that we really know. Is what I do important in the grand scheme of things? In my head, these dreams are dreamt. Trust me, we are kings. I'm wearing a blindfold, like where did the time go?
आपने कभी हनुमान दंड लगाई है किसी पुरुष ने? हनुमान दंड 10 भी लगाएं रोज तो बैक में कभी प्रॉब्लम नहीं आएगा। बैक में, रीढ़ की हड्डी में कभी दर्द पैदा नहीं होगा। हनुमान दंड रोज 10 लगाइए, बैक।
Trying to make it all make sense. As you hypothesize on how to monetize and take advantage of all the time we fall behind, get lost in this.
大家注意了，如果这里不舒服，教你个小妙招：手掌握拳，拇指向前旋转10下到20下，不但后背舒服了，连手臂都通畅了。
Mami, te siento lejos, dime dónde estás, te quiero chingar, te voy a arrastrar, déjate llevar, apaga el celular, si estás conmigo no te va a pasar nada, solo déjate llevar, nena te entra la jugada, que yo quiero contigo y tú quieres conmigo. Ey, dale ponte pa' mí, follow me, tú eres life for me, yo estoy pa' ti, gata tú estás lindo, mándame tu y mueve los callos de arrancar.
Aquarium gone. America, the standard of vanity. When the camera's up, we become celebrities. Distract from the hysteria. Confessions that I have a curiosity about life.
नीचे का क्या बोले न बबूत थोड़ा के पाछे नाचे सबूत मस्ती में जावे कैलाश कूट थोड़ा बाजे डम 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 रू पकड़ बम 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 लहरी पकड़ बम 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 लहरी थोड़ा मार दे भीतर का मेरा अंध का सुल क्षमा प्राप्ति बढ़क मैं भी कल का सूं कर का मन कटारी दियूं अर काट ले मन का मेरे मन का न्यू सब जानूं तना सब बेरा है अंध ताक तू तो सब नहीं दे रहा है बोला मेरे बोला मेरे बोला मेरे बोला मेरे तू ही अंधेरा तू ही सवेरा है देवों का भी दानव का भी तू पूजा है मानवता की तू रावण का अरे रमा रमा तेरी गैल अमर कांवड़ झाकी पकड़ बम 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 लहरी पकड़ बम 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 लहरी तीर शमाया छल कपट आदि कसम राख कर सब तन.
This is the world's greatest stretch, 2.0. It's going to stretch your low back, your mid back, your hips, stabilize your core and your shoulder blade, take your dog for a walk, and probably your wife to a nice restaurant on date night. Like, it's going to do everything, guys. I give it all to you right here. All you have to do is do it 5 times in a row, once a day, and you're basically good after that.
Here we go. And a 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's
You externally rotate here fully, drive the upper arm more towards your chest, then it goes all the way to your ear, your bicep, you open, then you start rotating. See how that bicep turns? You go back behind, and then once you find here, that's your halfway there. You're gonna push back, push back, push back, externally rotate, drive it all the way to your ears again, your biceps, drive the upper arm onto your chest, that's it.
For the third exercise, we move our hands forward alternately. This exercise works all the muscles of your back.
Here are my top 4 biceps exercises that all emphasize a deep stretch. First, the incline dumbbell curl. Because the bench places your arms behind you, the biceps will get a bigger stretch this way than by sitting upright. Don't let your elbows drift forward, keep them back throughout the curl. To max out the stretch, try rotating your palms out. Go light your first time. Second, the standing Bayesian cable curl. Set up a cable at wrist height and take 2 steps forward until your bicep is fully stretched. You should feel deep tension in your biceps right away. Start with your weaker arm and then match the reps with the other. Third, the flat bench preacher curl. The dumbbell offers max tension when the bicep is fully stretched and then descending tension throughout the curl. I do these as a finisher for 15 to 20 reps. Fourth, seated high Bayesian cable curls. Set the cables at chest height when you're seated and move the bench far enough forward that you can get your arms back as far as possible. From there, do your curls.
Let's go gambling! Aw, dang it. Aw, dang it.
The perfect way to do Bayesian curls. First, select a pair of fabric D handles. Attach them. Now set the cables just below the height of your hands. Take 2 steps forward, holding a staggered stance. Lean your torso slightly. Pull the shoulders back and down, keeping the chest pushed up. Rotate your wrists forward. Now, curl all the way up, keeping the upper arms and elbows locked in place. It'll feel as though you're curling in towards your face. To improve the effectiveness, use a bench. Set it slightly back to increase stability. This is what perfect execution looks like. Enjoy the gains. See you in the next one.
These are the 6 bicep exercises you can do on this machine to get a nice pump in your biceps. We have the standing bicep curl, the preacher curl with the pad turn around to get a nice extension on your biceps, the squatting bicep curl for those of you who are a bit taller and want to get a nice full pump in your biceps. Next, we have the single arm bicep curl from the top cable, another great one to extend and get the peak contraction of your biceps. And finally, we have the chin up. Make sure that your chest is caved in. So these are the 6 exercises, and I hope you enjoy this video.
If you raise the cable handle in front like this, you'll target the front and a bit of the side delts. If you turn to your side and raise the handle to the side like this, you'll work the lateral delts. If you step back with one foot and raise the handle diagonally overhead, you'll work the side and rear delts. If you bend over and raise the handle outward like this, you'll primarily target the rear delts.
Should you do dumbbell lateral raises standing up straight like this? Or is it better to lean away like this? Or maybe leaning into your lateral raises like this is best? Well, most people do them standing up like this, and there's nothing wrong with that. But there might be a better way. That's because the dumbbell has a circular resistance path, so it applies the most tension when the dumbbell is at the top, and literally 0 tension when the dumbbell's at the bottom. So you're getting no tension while the side delt is stretched. So what about leaning away? Well, the good thing here is that you cut out about the bottom 20 degrees, where some evidence suggests that the rotator cuff is more active anyway. But this variation still has the problem of not putting high tension on the delt when it's stretched. But if you lean in, all of a sudden the dumbbell provides tension in that stretched position. There's absolutely nothing wrong with including all 3 periodically, but if I had to pick just one dumbbell option, it'd have to be the lean-in dumbbell lateral raise.
This is the best delt exercise that I bet you're not doing. So we're setting this one up with 2 individual low pulley cables. You can see I'm using the Velcro cuffs. These are actually ankle or booty straps. One of the issues with this exercise is the grip becomes the limiting factor. So with the cuffs, we can actually have them around the wrists or the forearms, so grip no longer becomes the limiting factor. Now, having the cable set up behind the back actually takes the delts into the fully lengthened position, meaning it's harder in the bottom position of that movement. So next time you're training delts, try this one out and let me know what you guys think.
All right, so my number 1 side delt exercise is a cross-body cable Y raise.
Most people, when they do lateral raises, go directly out to the side. There's nothing wrong with that. The main reason I like these is the stretch you get here. If you were gonna stretch your side delt, you wouldn't just hold it here. You're not getting a ton of stretch here. If you pull it across your body, now you have more stretch on the delt.
Here's how you can grow all 3 deltoids. First, the lateral delt. Start a set of cable lateral raises standing right next to the pulley. 6 to 8 reps, close to or to failure. Then take a step out. Continue on and come close to or to failure a second time. You can do this with dumbbells too. Perform a lateral raise standing straight up. Then lean to the side, propping yourself up. This will exhaust the entire range of motion for the delt. Next, the superset for the rear delts. First, lean slightly back and row with your arms at 45 degrees. Right as I initiate the row, I like to think forearms out, almost like I'm spreading the cables apart with some light tension constantly driving outward. Once you're no longer able to hold the top position, lighten the weight, do reverse flies. A few more reps close to or to failure. The front delts. The cable front raise. I'll show you the special way I do these with dumbbells too. Here's what I'm thinking. Arms straight, converge the cable inward as I raise. Imagine, keep the shoulder underneath the weight. To do this with dumbbells, lean back on a bench so your arms hang vertically behind your torso. This will provide some tension at the bottom range.
Hey, Roman numeral 7, babe, drop it like it's hot. If this world was mine, I'd take your dreams and make.
The lateral raise is one of those exercises that seems like it should be relatively simple, but people are messing it up all the time. So I'm going to give you a few things to focus on with your form and start to put all that tension onto the mid delts. Number one, I want you to sit down when doing it. One of the easiest mistakes people make without realizing it is as you're doing it, you're starting to lift your body up and create this bend in your waist, in your knees. If you sit down, it's going to take a lot of that out of the equation. Number two, slightly lean your upper body forward. And from here, what I want you to think is pulling your upper back down into the ground. So just think of suppressing your shoulders down towards the ground and maintain that as you're doing the exercise. That's going to stop you from being able to shrug as much. And instead of bringing these dumbbells directly out to your sides, I want you to think of taking those dumbbells with your elbows out to the corners of each wall. So you're coming up more in this plane here as opposed to this plane here. So slightly forward, pull your upper back and shoulders down into the ground. Think of leading your elbows out to the corners of the walls on the sides of you with your hands just being hooks. And you're going to start to put far more tension onto those mid delts.
Judge my form.
I'm gonna put you DT here, bro. Give me this dumbbell and lean into me. Now, if you hold the dumbbell up just a little bit, you've got tension all of a sudden. And now do a fly. Well, you might have to go a little lighter. If you want to be even more locked in, you could do these on an incline bench.
Well, like this or like this?
Whatever helps you feel braced. I do this.
Oh, should I come here?
You get more stretch that way. Good job.
Jeff.
Good thinking, see?
I train shoulders like the #1 science-based lifter in the world, and my shoulders got destroyed. So we start off with behind the back lateral raises, which give you an unreal stretch at the bottom. And since there's no point in the movement when you're resting, your shoulders just get fried the entire time. Now classic dumbbell shoulder press, which I didn't think would be too hard until I realized the stretch that you have to do on the bottom of these. If it isn't already obvious, I was struggling with the 40 kilos on these. Now high grip lateral raises, where you stretch the weight across your entire body. Having your shoulders this pumped is one of the best feelings in the world, I can't lie. Now onto rear delt flies, and with how much I'm struggling, you would think I'm pulling a crazy amount of weight. Just 10 to 15 pounds will destroy your rear delts. If you want this full training program, just comment lift and I'll send it over.
If you want cannonball delts, try this exercise. Take V-bar attachment and adjust cable to low position. Slip the hand between the grips like this and start. This simple hack will alleviate tension from your wrist onto your forearm, and this shift in momentum lever will give you better delt isolation. Raise your hand to the shoulder level until it's parallel with the ground. Push your shoulder down to avoid tension in your traps.
Hit it from the back, you're louder than two sold down nights. I think she fell in love, she said she trusts me with the light. I like rising sun, burning everything she's.
Stop spamming side raises expecting to get big shoulders. The shoulder has 3 heads, and you need to hit every single head perfectly with the right exercises to grow them. For the side delts to make you look big in t-shirts, ditch the dumbbell side raises. Come over to the cable and set it to hip height. Every gym will have a D handle, but if you have this, even better, a cuff. This will limit the involvement in the wrist, putting all the pressure on your side delt. Take one step out and raise them straight to the side. And then for your front delt, you can simply spin around and raise them straight out in front. Then set the cable up to face height, turn your body 30 degrees to the side, and push your wrist back. And if you want more daily gym content like that, be sure to drop me a follow.
Okay, stop. We're gonna do a little bit far forward. Here. Okay, got it. Chest up. Okay, and then go up. There you go. Slow down. You're going way too fast. There you go. Lead with your elbows. Lead with your elbows. Make your elbows a little higher than your wrist. Bring your wrist down a little bit. Good. Chest up. Chest up. Good. Chest up. Good. Oh my God. Up. Yes. This is what's going to build that width. Okay. And keeping your chest up is going to minimize your traps. Keep going. Keep Keep going. Good. 2 more. 1 more. Good. Put that down. Oh my God. Good.
And if you hear this song, then go on, bend your back. Go on, bend your knees, baby, shake it to the max. Will the DJ please turn up the bass to the max? Please just rewind, let me shake it to the max. Ever since I was a kid, I've been a G. If I was you, I would cut up my wrist. Exotic all over her body. Oh.
So if there's one fitness trend that needs to die a horrible death, it's all these videos that throw around random percentages that aren't actually based on anything. This one is mostly true though, and it's something you need to know when it comes to maximizing your triceps gains. See, your triceps are made up of 3 heads which all perform elbow extension, but the long head is unique in that it's the one head that crosses the shoulder and also performs shoulder extension. And since compound pressing exercises involve both elbow extension but also shoulder flexion, which is the opposite action of shoulder extension, that means that even though the long head is shortening at the elbow as you press, it's also lengthening at the shoulder at the same time, meaning the muscle doesn't significantly change in length throughout the movement and doesn't experience high levels of tension as a result. It's mainly the medial and lateral heads that are doing elbow extension on those lifts, which is where the 67% or 2 out of 3 figure is coming from. So if you're relying on the big compounds only like some people recommend, your triceps long head will likely be underdeveloped, and this is a case where isolation work is actually essential for maximum growth. So that could be a basic push down, which would be my #1 go-to, and there are plenty of solid variations for that. Skull crusher movements and overhead extensions are an option as well. And if you want to learn proper exercise selection and workout structure for every muscle to make sure you're not leaving any gains on the table, get my TrainWise app free for 7 days where I lay out everything step by step.
If you want to grow bigger triceps, you have to build the lateral head, long head, and medial head. Let me show you how to train these heads. To target the long head, incline bench overhead dumbbell extensions. Unlike the flat bench variation, the incline bench version places your triceps in a more stretched position. Shift your body up so that your head extends past the top of the bench. This positioning provides more space for a greater range of motion. To target the lateral head, weighted bench dips. Avoid flaring your elbows to the side as it puts too much stress on your elbow joints. Instead, keep your forearms vertically straight as much as possible. To target the medial head, single arm tricep pushdowns using an underhand grip. Avoid overextending or flexing your wrist. To target the overall triceps, decline diamond push-ups. Don't flare out your elbows. Instead, keep them tucked. Perform as much reps as possible until you reach failure.
The katana triceps extension gets its name from how you draw a pair of Japanese katana swords, where you cross your arms overhead and grab the opposite side's cable. The best way to get into this exercise is to grab each side's cable with the same hand and then spin around 180 degrees while crossing your arms over. Or you can start with the cables crossed in front of you and then duck underneath and step through. Either way, if you start with the cables at around or just above waist height, you should end up with your arms in a position about 30 to 40 degrees forward relative to being flared out to the sides. This is called the scapular plane, which feels really comfortable for a lot of people. These also have the rare benefit of hitting both arms individually while still saving on time by getting both sides done at once. So that can be great for addressing any left-to-right imbalances while still not taking twice as long. These are definitely a personal favorite, and I'd probably put them in S tier, but because they require a bit more setup and they can have a bit of a learning curve, I'm gonna go ahead and tentatively drop them back to A tier.
If you do overhead tricep extensions like this, you'll primarily target the lateral and medial heads. The long head is secondary, even though you feel it stretch. If you lay flat on a bench doing pullovers like this, you'll primarily target the long head of the triceps and the pecs, but not the lats, like many have said. If you pull your hands in and do a close grip bench press like this, machine or bodyweight dips like this, or any other press variation where both the elbows and shoulders are moving at the same time, besides delts or pecs, you'll target the lateral and medial heads significantly, but not the long head. If you do extensions with your arms angled down like this, or one arm down doing crossbody extensions like this, you'll primarily target the long head, secondarily the lateral and medial. Now if you raise your arm up and do extensions out to the side, or place your arms in front of your body doing extensions over your shoulders like this, skull crushers included, you'll primarily target the lateral and medial heads. The long head is secondary. It's no different than
And so, let's get it. But if you're looking for me, I'll be on the block with my thing cocked, possibly sitting on a drop down. Because I'm a rider. Yeah. Oh, yes, a soul survivor. Yeah. So everybody know the game. Deep down
Here's a better way to do triceps extension. Take incline bench and place it in front of cable machine. Sit down, grab rope attachment, and start. Seated triceps extensions offer benefits like isolation, strict form, and comfort due to the bench support, emphasizing triceps engagement. Make sure to keep your upper arm in fixed position and to twist your wrist outwards at the end of the movement to engage your lateral head even more.
You can definitely do this without the bench, just as a regular standing overhead extension, although you will lose out on the stability you'll get from the bench. But the other thing I like to do with this is, instead of doing the traditional high to low cable setup, I'll bring the cable down to around there-ish, and what you'll notice by doing this is you get a lot more tension right here in this stretch position.
Everyone online is getting something wrong about triceps training. I see so many people dogpiling against the triceps kickback, but in my opinion, they couldn't be more mistaken. I think it's an absolute staple because it's one of the only exercises where your shoulder is positioned back behind your torso. Because the long head of the triceps, that beefy part on the back of your arm, crosses the shoulder joint, when you lift your arm up, the long head stretches, and when you move your arm down, the long head contracts. You can test this out for yourself and feel the difference. So overhead extensions offer a great stretch, but never reach peak contraction. Same goes for triceps press downs, because the arm is always in front of the torso. The kickback is one of the only options where you get maximum contraction of the long head. This is why EMG data shows higher activation of the long head when you kick the shoulder back. Look at the reading spike when Chris hyperextends. There are two ways to do these. You can bend forward and kick the cable back, or you can stand more upright, still making sure that your arm is back behind your torso. Cables are better than dumbbells because you get more continuous resistance, but dumbbells can still get the job done if you don't have cable access.
I took the top off, I'm dripping like hot sauce. I got drink in this clean raw. Baby, give me that mean mouth. Hit that pussy like golf ball. I can do this without y'all. Carlos, I go loco. I go back to the trap house.
To work the forearm flexors, grab the cable bar behind you like this, and perform behind the back wrist curls. To work the forearm extensors, hold the bar in a seated position like this, and perform cable wrist extensions. To target the radial muscles, grab the D handle like this, use your other hand as support, and perform radial deviation like this. To target the ulnar muscles, grab the D handle like this, support it with the other hand, and perform ulnar deviation like this.
Yeah, fall back too close, you ain't even know me. Trust my brothers from way back from the north. It's me and Dior, spend it like they owe me.
I've been trying to work this out for months and I've finally done it. When you extend your wrist back behind your body, you're being pulled into this deep wrist lock position which never gets trained. You do get there on your standard extensions, but there's no tension here in this stretch position. This is super easy. Whereas the cable is applying a lot of tension into this stretch position. I also find it a lot more comfortable to have your hands behind your body like this instead of being out in front of your body. I always found this quite restrictive on my elbows and my wrists. I'm going to call them the Eugene extension for a little bit of fun, but you can call them whatever you like. And your regular barbell and dumbbells are still fantastic, but if you haven't yet, you've got to try this out.
Here's how you can grow bigger forearms with cables. Try targeting each region I'm about to show you. First, the flexors, the cable straight bar wrist curl. So easy to throw in after you train biceps. As you do this, think tuck the pinkies to the ceiling. Secure a tight contraction and briefly hold. Then the forearm extensor. Try one of these 3 variations of the single arm reverse wrist curl. Keep the forearm parallel to the ground. In order to help, try supporting your wrist with the other hand. It'll help increase stability. Another cool method you can use is resting the back of your arm on the cable pulley itself. I like to keep the reps in the 10 to 15 range. Much heavier, and I find maintaining good form more difficult. Finally, the brachioradialis, the single arm cable reverse curl. I like to take a step away from the cable pulley with a slight lean forward. This helps maintain some tension at the very bottom.
There are many benefits to having big forearms. No, not that. I'm gonna teach you how to get bigger forearms. First up, we got the reverse wrist curl. Now I gotta warn you, these really burn. Minimize using wrist straps when training back to strengthen your forearms. Next, we got the finger curl. This one's a little weird, but bear with me. It's just like a bicep curl, but with your fingers.
How gymnasts have such strong wrists that they can do so many supported positions in a routine, doing handstand, press to handstand, and flares on the floor without getting injured. In this video, I'm going to show you the top 4 most effective exercises that gymnasts use to strengthen their hands, wrists, and forearms. The first exercise is the palm poses, which creates wrist flexion, so works the flexor muscles of the forearm. The second exercise is the finger poses that also creates wrist flexion, so works the flexor muscles of the forearm with longer leverage involving the fingers. The third exercise is the from back of the hand to fist support that creates wrist extension, strengthening the extensor muscles of the forearm. The fourth exercise is the fist swing, which will help you on the parallettes, P-bars, or rings to balance by strengthening the adduction and abduction movement.
I tried Sam Sulek's forearm workout and now I literally can't use my fingers correctly. So it's a pretty quick finisher that I did at the end of my shoulder workout, but it definitely got the job done. You start with these reverse dumbbell wrist curls, and I don't know if it's just my frail little bones, but my wrists were snap, crackle, and popping on every rep. But he does this 7 times on each arm. Bro, 7 times he does 20 reps. I never directly trained my forearms, so they were tight by the end of these. By the way, if you like these videos, hit that little follow button. So next are these barbell wrist curls, and you really don't need much weight to be pulled into another dimension. Again, the volume is nuts with 5 sets of 20 reps, and I was cramping and failing around rep 16. At this point, I've been at the gym for like 2 hours and I just want a cold beer and some food. But he throws in this single set finisher of cable wrist curls and I'm cooked. I've never had a pump in my forearms like this, and when I say my hands and fingers aren't working properly, I can barely open them. Follow if you want to see what crazy workout I try next.
How many times would they say I'm the smoothest? Truth is I never not moved this way. My trench coat leather, my shoes are suede. Beg you don't.
How could you recreate this forearm exercise if you didn't have access to this specific machine? If you have a dual cable column, one of the ways is to basically grab both handles on one side of the stack and to pull them over to the other side of the stack so that you can use the other column as an anchor for your wrists off of which you can squeeze your fingers toward the pole. If you don't want to set that up, you can simply just stand over a cable stack and do wrist curls, allowing the D handles to slip into your fingers as you lower down in the motion. However, this specific variation will probably be more specific to the forearms, whereas the cable column variation will be more specific to the strength of your fingers.
This is how I've grown my forearms into a pair of meat sticks, starting with the extensors. Now, a lot of people will tell you these muscles won't grow much, so you don't need to do them, but for me, it's not just about size. Trainer has helped a ton with elbow pain and strengthening my wrists, especially if you use cables to target the deep wrist lock position, which you don't really get from dumbbells or barbells. For the flexors, or the real girthy part of the forearms, I've been using first knuckle push-ups for the extra stretch through the deep muscles that control the fingers, and for the extra serratus and shoulder stability benefits of the push-up position. Last is the brachioradialis. Any palms down or neutral grip curl will do. For everything, I've been doing just one set of 6 to 20 reps 3 times a week at the start or end of my workouts.
training with a cheap wobble board could help mitigate shin splints and ankle sprains. Here's exactly how to use one. First, I highly recommend using the 10-10-10 method. This means performing 10 reps up and down, 10 reps side to side, and repeating until a 10 out of 10 burn is achieved. This all counts as just one set. Once advanced enough, you could add the left and right semicircles to the mix. Second, use a wobble board on a non-slip surface like a yoga mat or turf. You also want to be wearing low-top shoes so your foot itself does not slip. Third, this is not a balance exercise, it is an ankle exercise. So make sure to use your upper body to firmly hang on to something to take balance out of the equation. Lastly, it's helpful to place your foot slightly inside of center to account for eversion having less degrees of motion than inversion. You could use a wobble board for 3 sets once or twice a week to catch up vulnerable ankles quickly. Fall for more movement gems. Hope this helps, guys.
3 reasons why you should squat on your toes sometimes. 1, your feet need it. We tend to get stiff and rigid feet and toes as we age because of big padded shoes. Big toe extension is a very important range of motion for ground connection and ankle mobility. Easy fix is to go barefoot more often, do some toe squats, and sit on your heels for warm-up or cool down. 2, isolate the quads. Strong and healthy quads, especially the VMO, will give you confident knees. The more your torso stays upright and your knees go forward, the more work the quads do. Use a slant board to gradually build up your knees tolerance with high rep bodyweight squats. Balance your efforts out with a deadlift to prioritize hip strength. 3, the functional carryover. All sports and athletics require weight to the balls of the feet. We shouldn't expect ourselves to do a perfect, flat-footed, neutral spine squat every time we reach for something on the ground. I'm not saying it's the only squat you should do, but somewhere in your week, get some form of squatting on your toes. Agree or disagree?
My name is Jessica Williamson and I'm a physical therapist here, and today we're going to be working on ankle balance and proprioception. This first exercise we're going to do is really work to challenge your balance. What you're going to do is you're going to stand up nice and tall here, and we're going to narrow your base of support by bringing your feet close together so that they're touching. Here we look for you to stand for about 30 seconds, 3 times, without having a bunch of sway. So the next exercise we're going to do is a progression of the last one. What you're going to do now is we're going to move one foot slightly in front of the other while keeping some space between your feet. This is called a half tandem stance. What you'll do here is still stay nice and loose on your knee joints, don't lock them out, and prevent as much sway as possible in this position. You'll hold this for about 30 seconds and you'll do this 3 times. Another way that you can progress this now is by bringing that foot directly in front of the other one. And here you're on a tightrope or standing on a line. Again, try to minimize your sway as much as possible. Hold 30 seconds 3 times. And with both of these exercises, you can then switch which foot is in front. The next exercise we're going to do now is moving all of your weight onto one leg. This is called a single leg stance. So what we'll have you do is stand on your involved extremity here, and then bring your other foot up behind you. Perfect. Just like this, you want to make sure you have just a slight bend in the leg that you're standing on and that you're not hooking your other leg behind. That way you're not relying on congruency or other ways to keep your balance. Here we're going to try to hold 30 seconds 3 times and try to minimize your sway as much as possible. With these exercises, it's also important to do it near a wall or a countertop. That way if you lose your balance, you can correct yourself with your hands. The next exercise we're going to do is balancing on foam, still standing on that one leg. Now you will be standing on a compliant surface. At home, what you can use is either a pillow, a folded up towel or blanket, or something that's going to give you a little bit of squish under your feet. So what you're going to do is the same thing. You'll step up onto the foam here with your involved extremity, and then you're going to bring your foot up again. Again, here you're going to try to hold on for 30 seconds, and you'll do this 3 times each. Now we're going to look at some higher level balance and proprioceptive activities for your ankle injury. The next exercise we're going to do is called clock touches. What you're going to do is you're going to stand on your involved extremity here, and then you will now lift up the uninvolved extremity so it's not touching the ground. You're going to think about drawing a clock with your foot and tapping your heel down, so you'll tap towards 12 o'clock, then about 9 o'clock, then 3 o'clock. If you were to switch sides, your clock will flip and it'll be hitting at 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and 6 o'clock. Again, with this, we'd say go through your clock pattern about 3 to 5 times. As this gets easier, you can increase the number of reps that you do. This next exercise is similar to like a single leg deadlift. We call these your T stands. You'll stand again on your involved extremity and you will bring your uninvolved extremity slightly off of the ground. What you're gonna do is it's gonna be a hinge from the hips and you're gonna bring your chest down towards the ground while kicking your opposite leg out towards the back there. Hold for about 1 to 2 seconds and then you'll use those muscles of your involved extremity to then help pull you back up nice and tall. Ways that you can progress this exercise is by using some weights. So you can start with just using one weight in your opposite hand of the one that you're standing on. Again, you'll bend forward, try to touch down towards like the middle of your shin, and then back up. If that gets easy, you can then progress this by holding the weight in the same hand as the leg that you're standing on. And same thing, you're gonna tip down, bringing your chest to the ground, stopping at about mid-shin height. Perfect. And then the next progression of this exercise is putting a weight in both hands. Then you will do the same motion, you'll bend down, stopping at about mid-shin height, and then pull back up. Try not to let that foot hit the ground as much as possible. This is gonna be a higher level single leg balance exercise here, and it's gonna have you reaching outside of your base of support. So you're gonna be doing those T stands again, except now you're gonna be tapping some cones. So what you'll do is you will stand on your involved extremity again. Again, keep a slight nice bend in your knee so you're not locking out. And you're gonna hinge from your hips and tip forward, kicking your back leg out straight. And then you're gonna touch the other cones out to the side. So typically we do this with about 3 cones. Each time, if you can, try not to let your foot come back and touch the ground. That way it'll challenge your balance a little bit more. We usually say start this off with touching each cone about 3 times. As it gets easier, you can increase the number of reps that you touch each cone. If you don't have cones at your house, you can also use anything like a cup or anything that has a little bit of height to it that you can touch. Thank you for joining us today, and hopefully this will help you aid in your recovery.
Hello, my name is Matthew Sturries. I'm a physical therapist. Today we're going to be working on ankle balance and proprioception exercises. The next exercise we're going to do is a progression of single limb standing. We're going to use the half foam roll. We'll step up on there with the involved leg. Curl your back leg up. You're going to try and maintain the neutral foot position. We're going to be controlling inversion and eversion with this exercise. We're going to start trying to hold for 15 seconds and then progress up to where we can do a full minute of this. We'll do 3 repetitions. If at first you have trouble with this, you can use the countertop for balance or a stick, or just put your hand up against the wall. The next exercise we're going to do is single limb standing balance again on the half roll, but we're going to be controlling plantar flexion and dorsiflexion, or pointing and flexing of the foot. So we'll step up on the half roll, curl your back leg up, making sure not to press your legs together or hook your heel around the other leg. We're going to try and maintain the foot flat position there. We'll start off working for 15 seconds. As you get better at it, we're going to be pushing for a full minute of this exercise. We'll do 3 or 4 repetitions. And rest down. The next exercise we're going to do today is single limb calf raise. We're going to put our weight on our involved leg, curl the other leg behind, raising up onto the tiptoe, holding for a 2 count, trying not to let the heel kick inward or outward. We're going to raise up, hold for a count of 2, and then control down. Controlling the negative is going to help us with increasing our eccentric power and control in that foot. To make this one harder, we're going to grab the hand weights. Same thing, involved leg stand, curl the leg, raise up on the toes. Nice and controlled on the up and the down. We'll work with sets of 10, working up to a set of 20 to 25, and we'll do 3 sets of this exercise. The next exercise we're going to do is single limb calf raise on a stair or a step. You want to make sure you're using something that's stable and not going to flip over. And you also want to have something to hold on to, whether that be the wall, handrail, or a stick. We're going to slide back so that the ball of the foot is placed on the edge of the stair. Curl your good knee or bend your good knee. And we're going to drop our heel down so we can go through the full plantar flexion range of motion. Control up, squeeze at the top, and then control back down. We're going to start with sets of 10. We'll do 3 sets of 10, progressing as you get stronger. The next exercise we're going to perform today is single limb stand with 4-way hip. We're going to use a TheraBand placed around the leg of a table or a stationary object. Place the foot inside the loop. You're going to stand on your involved leg. If you need something for balance, you can use a wall or a stick or a golf club. We're going to perform the involved leg standing. We're going to bring the leg together and then away, doing the adduction motion. We're going to do 20 repetitions of this exercise, trying to maintain your stability over that opposite foot. You're getting hip work on the leg that's in the band, but you're also getting stability through the stance leg. And we'll stop there. We'll turn 90 degrees. Now we're going to be doing a punt type motion. Again, same 20 repetitions. And rest. We'll turn 90 degrees again. Step your foot over the band so it's not a trip hazard for you. And we'll be moving the leg into abduction, trying to keep your trunk as tall as you can. And then we'll turn 90 degrees again, and you'll be doing standing hip extension. We'll do this exercise. We'll go around the circle, all 4 exercises 2 times for 20 repetitions each. Thank you for joining us today. We hope this helps on your rehabilitation journey.
Ever see someone who constantly has their feet turned out or maybe even turned in? Here's why. Turning the feet out biases the hips towards external rotation. People do this if they're limited in hip internal rotation. And the same concept applies to people with turned in feet. Turning in biases the hip towards internal rotation. This limits external rotation. You'll also notice these people have opposite foot presentations. The people with turned out feet commonly present with flat or overpronated feet as their bodies attempt to gain internal rotation. The people with turned in feet often have high arches or supinated feet. This is an attempt to pick up external rotation. The easiest way to fix either of these is by opening up the correct motion in the hips. Flat feet need to work on hinging, and high arches need to work on squatting.
Finally, we're doing toe flexing exercises. If you like the vid, smash that like button, subscribe and share it with your mate.
For the second one, let's wiggle our toes apart and then together again. Okay, so next exercise, squish the ball with your big toe for about 2 seconds and then pull it in towards you. After that, we're going to massage our entire foot with the ball. All the motions are super slow and deep. Here are 9 exercises for healthy feet. First exercise, let's try to scrunch a towel with our feet.
The next exercise is doing a little heel up down action.
The fourth exercise is the same, but we're upping the intensity by using a resistance band.
And the one before the last one is pretty much the same thing, except we're just alternating the movements.
You are looking at a real human Achilles tendon, and it can handle a significant amount, multiples of your body weight, in terms of energy and force being transmitted through here. But you can overwhelm this, as with anything, right?
My patient had Achilles tendon pain right here since 2017. He had no pain with squats or pistol squats during his CrossFit workouts, but double leg hopping to mimic double unders was painful, and single leg hopping was extremely painful. This is how you know it's Achilles tendonitis, as the more you use the tendon like a spring, the more it hurts. The first step to fix is an isometric heel raise hold for 45 seconds. Many tendon injuries respond to isometrics with a temporary decrease in pain, which is why these were far easier after. We then started rebuilding tendon strength capacity with slow tempo heel raises, both in a standing position and the seated position to hit the smaller soleus muscle as well. If the pain is worse the next day when retesting hops, you decrease load. If it's better, you can increase load and progress accordingly.
This is how I do standing calf raises. I have my pulley set up on the lowest setting. We are also using a weight plate to create a bit of a deficit. I have about 30 pounds set up in my cable here. You can definitely go heavier than you think. From here, we raise our heels as far as possible and squeeze the calves till it burns. This one literally lights up the whole back of my legs, to be honest. And that's it.
With the mob, through Allah, check you and me, and do your job. Berg is the name, Ben Baller did the chain, Torno for the watch, Prezi plain Jane. Find me mobbing with my cooker song, yeah.
This is the best squat tutorial that's ever been made. Step 1, the perfect stance. Squat and test. Find your best position that allows for the greatest range of motion. The shape of your pelvis and hip capsule is unique to you. Your femur should freely move up, and you should feel totally balanced. But if you don't, try elevating your heels on plates for better Olympic shoes. Now pull yourself under the bar with a close stance, placing the bar on top of your traps. Keep the grip close. Hands as close to the shoulders as you can manage. Pinch your back together and pull the bar down into your traps to tension the back. Slide the knees forward, placing the hips under the bar. Stand, steady, then step deliberately. 1, 2. Tuck and level your hips. Lightly screw the feet into the ground to help stabilize the hips. Breathe deep into your belly and brace like expecting a punch. Slide the hips back very slightly. Sink straight down between your legs. Depth may vary, but strive to lower to at least parallel. Keep the bar over the middle of your feet with equal balance from heel to toe, and knees over toes in the same direction. Drive up, thinking. Keep knees forward and hips underneath. The hips and bar should rise at the same rate of speed.
Do you want to learn how to perform a pistol squat? The problem is, this is way too easy for most people. And this is way too difficult. Instead of jumping right into a pistol squat, try these progressions first. First, try squatting with your feet together through a full range of motion. If you can't get all the way to the ground, you're likely lacking ankle dorsiflexion, and you can work on it with drills like these. Next, work on your single leg strength by getting into a staggered position. Try to put more and more weight on the front foot and less on the back. Next, get comfortable in the bottom position by trying to alternate your leg going forward. It's a lot harder on your hip flexors than it looks. Next, start going into a normal squat with 2 legs, put that leg out and try to push yourself back up. If you're having problems on the up, try using a TRX to give yourself some support. And finally, put it all together. Tell us how many of these you can do in a row.
Feel your eyes, they all over me. Don't be shy, take control of me. It's the vibe, it's gonna be lit tonight. No lie, hypnotized, do another one. It's alright, I know what you want. It's the vibe, it's gonna be lit tonight. No lie,
High bar squat. I'm gonna be truthful with you. Yeah, I don't barbell squat at all. I can tell by your legs. They're not moving like they used to. I mean, they're small. Cool. That looks just fine. Yeah. Go ahead and rack for a sec. So if you get weightlifting shoes with a built-in heel, that's the best way to squat. But if you don't have those, you can just take the 2.5s, which we will now. Take only your heel. Put them on there. Your toe goes on the ground. Get nice and stable. And then you're really going to focus on staying as upright with your chest as possible, with your knees as far forward as possible. Take the bar, roll it up higher on your back a little bit. There you go. Keep your chest higher, Jesse. Stop looking down. There's nothing to see. There you go.
Whoa.
Good. But go lower and sit there for a second. Good. And when you come up, only come up 2/3 of the way and then come back down. Wow.
Here's why you should be doing the assisted reverse Nordic curl. This exercise is great for training the rectus femoris, which is one of your quadriceps and the only one of the 4 that crosses the hip as well as the knee. Because of this, movements that straighten the knee whilst the hip is flexed don't create enough mechanical tension in the rectus femoris to train it effectively. For it to contract effectively, we need to keep our hips fixed in extension at the same time as we are straightening the knee under load, which is exactly what is happening in the reverse Nordic curl. The full bodyweight version requires a lot of strength and flexibility, so try the assisted version with a cable machine or a resistance band to build up to it.
This is kind of like a S-tier boss level exercise that you have to be really strong for. You want to keep a straight, completely vertical torso the entire time. Very good.
Oh my God.
Control, 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 pause, up. Very good.
Holy crap.
If you have friends, what you can do is hold on to this for me. So I'm letting Jesse do all the work on the lowering phase. Control it, wait for it. And then on the up phase,
oh my God.
concentric, I help him out. Do one more. So lower slow by yourself, no help, no help, no help, control, and then I help you up. Very good. Just like that, you can go beyond failure, and it really will make your quads as big as Jesse's, which isn't so impressive, but it's nice.
These are 4 super effective quad exercises you probably don't know about that all emphasize a deep stretch. First, Smith machine squats with a twist. Do long length partials on every rep. That means you stay in the bottom half the whole time. These are tough, so don't go too heavy the first time. Second, reverse Nordics. These let you go much deeper than any leg extension machine will. Loop a band around a squat rack, kneel down, and lean back while keeping your hips straight. Go as low as you comfortably can and squeeze your quads to lift yourself up. Switch to body weight once you're strong enough. Third, sissy squats. Don't let the name fool you. These are hard. Grab a cable for balance, and as you lean back, come up onto your toes and let your knees travel forward. Don't worry, studies show this won't hurt your knees, it'll make them stronger. Fourth, Smith machine deficit split squats. Save these for when you got some serious demons to fight.
This is the best guide you'll ever see on how to grow your hamstrings. You have 4 of them. First, the short head of the biceps femoris. It's the only hamstring muscle that doesn't attach to the hip. So when we bend at the knee, it's the only time it gets trained. So, leg curls, seated or lying, both likely work similarly well for growing it. But for the other 3 hamstrings, seated will be superior for growth. Now, here are the 3 variations you need to know. First, when you flare the toes out, it preferentially targets the hamstring muscles on the outer portion of your leg, the long and short head of the biceps femoris. Second, point them inwards and you'll preferentially utilize the hamstring muscles on the inner portion of your leg, the semitendinosus and membranosus. And third, when you point them up, it'll spread the work more evenly across them all. This is what most people should do most of the time. Finally, training the hamstrings by hinging at the hips. This is the other way that you need to be training them. Here's what you need to know. Stiff leg deadlifts are the king. By keeping your knees pretty much straight, as you lower down, the hamstrings are stretched deeply across both joints and act like chains pulling down from the base of your pelvis until you're standing upright.
Now look at this.
Oh my jeez!
Yes.
Now I understand why you put no weight on this.
Front foot elevated, Smith machine lunge. You're already doing almost everything correct, Jesse, very good.
Whoa.
So the front foot elevation is to stretch that glute. Instead of stepping down with your foot like this at the bottom, you want to take your shoelaces and put them as far back as you can, down gently. And as you come up, the first thing that happens is this back leg comes up. Very good.
Oh my jeez!
Yes.
Now I understand why you put no weight on this.
Yes. If you're using like a plate on a side, you either have glutes that are like Ronnie Coleman in his prime size,
or your clown showing the whole thing. It's not that we're trying to use little weight. It's we're trying to do such good technique that the oops result is that you don't have to use a lot of weight. Nice and easy, slow, gentle touch, and then come back up. Very good.
Cable chest flies are a very good exercise for chest development. When to do it, meaning where should it be placed in the workout so that you get maximum benefit. First of all, finish the compound exercises for the chest. Do you want to do a normal bench press or do it on an incline because in a major movement other muscles besides the chest are also helping you, getting trained. So now in the second movement, chest flies are done so that the involvement of the chest is more and that of the helping muscles is less. Most of you beginners will get the most benefit by practicing by setting the cable at shoulder height. But if after some time you want to put more emphasis on the lower chest or upper chest, then you can set the cable a little lower for the upper chest and practice in this way. To put a little more emphasis on the lower chest, set the cable a little higher and practice from this angle.
This is the best dumbbell bench tutorial ever made. Place the dumbbell across the heel of your hand and webbing of your thumb. Roll them into the sides of your feet. Knees forward, chest up, lift, and place the dumbbells on your quads. Now, pull them into your body. Crunch down into them, rounding your upper back as you guide yourself down. Take a wide stance, driving your heels down, pushing your knees out. Push your chest to the ceiling. Imagine you're scooping your shoulder blades underneath you. Hold this. Tension established. Breathe in deeply, inflating your core. Brace. Tension established. Drive your feet away. This will activate the lower body. Tension established. By tensioning all of these three regions of your body, you're creating stability. This allows the CNS to fire the target muscles more effectively. Here's how to get the perfect position for the dumbbells. As you allow them to drift out to the side, tension will eventually be shifted away from the pecs to the coracobrachialis and can cause discomfort in the shoulders. Keep the arm path more narrow to align with the chest fibers. With vertical forearms, begin the press powerfully out of the bottom. The path will be angled backwards and finish directly over the shoulders. Lower back down under control, allowing the shoulder blades to move freely while holding them down.
Are you making these common bench press mistakes? Let's find out. Save this and come back stronger.
Bench press checklist. If you tick all 5, you have a perfect bench. First, set up your arch. For bodybuilding, create a slight curve in your upper back by tucking your shoulder blades in while puffing your chest up. For powerlifting, a bigger arch can help you move more weight. Just make sure that your feet, glutes, upper back, and head are all planted. Second, grip. Grab the bar at 1.5 times shoulder width. A wider grip will target more chest. A closer grip will target more triceps. Squeeze the bar hard. Third, unrack. Press the bar up and then arc it forward with locked elbows until your arms are pointed straight up. Fourth, tuck your elbows. Point your elbows slightly in so they move at a roughly 45-degree angle on the negative. Fifth, bar path. Move the bar down and slightly forward. Don't bounce the bar. Instead, make soft contact with your lower chest. From there, press up and slightly back while pushing your feet into the floor. Now you have my...
If you lay a bench down flat like this and hold your arms at an angle to press, you'll target more of the middle pecs. If you shift the dumbbells down with your arms in like this and press, you'll target more of the upper pecs. If you set a bench all the way up like this, holding your arms more to the front like this, you'll target the front delts and the upper pecs. If you hold your arms out to the side like this, you'll target the front delts and the side delts. If you set a bench to an incline like this, arching your body with your chest up, you'll target more of the middle pecs. If you press your back flat like this, you'll target more of the upper pecs. If you sit with your back flat, doing pec flies like this, you'll target more of the middle pecs. If you raise up like this, doing your pec flies with your arms angled down, you'll target more of the lower pecs. This is your guide to the incline dumbbell bench. Step 1. Choose an angle between 45 and 30 degrees. Either will work. Reach, grab, knees forward, chest up, lift, and place the dumbbells on your quads. Here, adjust your grip across the base of your palm and webbing of your thumb. Now, carefully rock forward, then back, kicking the dumbbells into position one at a time. Then slide the arms out, keeping a downward angle, whatever's most comfortable. Stabilize your whole body, starting up here. Scoop your shoulder blades down and press your back flat against the bench. Hold this position. Now firmly connect yourself to the ground with a wide stance, driving your feet forward. Finally, stabilize the core by taking a breath in and flexing your abs, as if bracing for a punch. With vertical forearms, begin the press to a full lockout, releasing breath. Lower and repeat, always allowing your shoulder blades to move freely while holding them down.
I think this was, hands down, the most effective exercise for growing my pecs this year, the incline barbell bench press. It mostly targets the chest and front delts, with some bonus triceps, and even side delt activation, since the side delts help stabilize the bar from drifting forward or backward. I picked the incline barbell press over the incline dumbbell press because of the barbell's overload potential. I ran this program for a full year, and while dumbbells are great, once you get pretty strong, they become big, bulky, and awkward. But you can always add a little weight to the barbell. And while I am a fan of the Smith machine, I went with free weights here to get more out of the stabilizing muscles, especially those side delts. There's a growing trend of only doing the most stable, machine-based version of lifts, but I think that's gone a bit too far. Even for pure hypertrophy, free weight compound lifts still have a lot of value. And research backs this up. An incline barbell bench press clearly grows your chest. In fact, a 45-degree incline press will hit your upper pecs harder while still hitting your mid and lower pecs just as hard as a flat bench. The study from Chavez and colleagues found that the incline press grew the mid and lower pecs just as well as a flat bench, but the incline press had that added bonus of growing the upper pecs more. The incline press is also very time efficient because it kills two birds with one stone. You really don't need both a flat press and a vertical press if you just meet in the middle with a 45-degree incline. Now, the main technique cue that I focused on this year was using a slightly narrower grip to increase the range of motion, and that'll hit a bit more triceps without losing chest tension. And of course, I took the last set to absolute failure every time. I never used a spotter to help me get the weight up. I wanted to give it my all this year and then just fail on my own accord for scientific consistency. Failing on a heavy compound lift can be a bit intimidating at first, even for experienced lifters, but there's really nothing to be scared of. Just press until you can't press anymore, and then dump the weight forward onto the safety bars. Now, the most common mistake I see here is bouncing the bar off your chest. Yes, you can lift more weight this way, but remember, progressive overload is when you add a little weight or a rep from week to week, and that only counts if your technique stays consistent.
If you want to target this lower pec region, first you need to know it pulls the arms down from overhead. That's why this movement is so good. The incline Y-fly. Imagine you're pushing the cables away from you with your hands meeting at the bottom. Dragging over a bench can be a pain, so I like this more convenient freestanding version as well. Next, machine pullovers. Partial repetitions. Only 1/2 to 2/3 of the way down because the low pecs work in this range before the lats take over in the bottom half. Also, dumbbell pullovers. These train the same top half range of motion. That's why they're great for low pecs, not lats. Next, the low pecs help pull the arms down from the side. That's why these work extremely well. High to low flies. Use a wide cable system with the pulleys set high. Push more downward, not forward. Finally, what about decline pressing or dips? They will involve the lower fibers of the pec major. However, to target them more specifically, train this first overhead function in your program. This is the best guide you'll ever see on how to grow a bigger chest. You need to choose exercises that tension the chest more when it's stretched back, lengthened, and when it's more flexed, shortened. You should be doing this for all 3 fiber divisions of the pec major. Let's do my favorite for the costal fibers when they're more short. See the direction of those fibers? More vertical. The overhead incline Y-fly is so good for the lower pecs. It matches their direction, tensioning them when more flexed. Think hands to opposite heels. Now to tension the same fibers when they're more stretched, a decline dumbbell press can work well. I like to hold my chest up so the arm path matches their direction. This will hit the middle sternal fibers of your pecs too, but to target them more exclusively in the lengthened position, do a flat press. Next, for the short position, a press around. A horizontal press matching the fiber direction, tensioning the pec when it is as flexed as possible. Next, the upper clavicular division. The incline Smith machine press tensions the pecs when they're stretched at the bottom, lengthened. But as you near the top and the pecs shorten, tension is lost. So to fill in the gap and tension them there, an incline press around, driving upward and across as far as you can. Here's a countdown of the top 4 methods to grow your chest. You need to prioritize these in your program. 4th place, dumbbells. These allow for a natural arm path converging inwards as the weight is pressed, but the stability is less than ideal and they require more skill. Therefore, there's potentially more form breakdown and less muscle recruitment. 3rd place, Smith machine. It's incredibly stable and doesn't require you to balance the weight. Therefore, you can recruit and exhaust more muscle fibers. The main drawback is that as you near the top, the load on the pecs diminishes. 2nd place, cables. Versatility, stability, and a natural arm arm path. That's why these are great. You can emphasize the tension at any portion of the movement you would like based on your setup. Where dumbbells in the Smith machine fail to offer resistance, these can succeed. Number 1, a converging chest press machine. Unlike the others, this loads the pecs with tension through the entire range of motion. Balance and skill are not required, so it allows you to focus on just one thing, your effort, maximally recruiting your pecs. And finally, an honorable mention, don't do this. Stick to the list.
अगर आप केबल मशीन पर दोनों पुलीज को अपने फोरहेड की हाइट पे सेट करो और 2 स्टेप आगे लेकर ऐसे स्टांस में सेट होकर हाई टू लो केबल फ्लाइज करोगे तो ये हो गया आपका डिक्लाइन केबल फ्लाइज का सेटअप, जहां मेन फोकस लोअर चेस्ट पर रहेगा।
New exercises for stretching shoulder muscles. We rest our hands on the lower back and the elbows between the knees. To such exercises, we stretch the muscles of the rotator cuff of the shoulder as well as the rhombus muscle. For those who find it difficult to perform this exercise, use its lighter version. If you like the video, put a like.
Training your rotator cuff is important to prevent and treat injuries, as well as improve shoulder strength, stability, and mobility. Try 3 to 4 sets doing between 10 to 20 reps for the following 4 exercises. Exercise 1 is the side internal rotation. Exercise 2 is the upright downward internal rotation. Both of these exercises will improve the subscapularis because it controls internal rotation and is the largest and strongest cuff muscle. Exercise 3 is the side external rotation. Exercise 4 is the upright upward external rotation. Both of these exercises will improve the infraspinatus and the teres minor because they control external rotation. Plus, they will help improve the supraspinatus, which is responsible for abduction.
A lot of y'all be complaining about your glass shoulders, but don't be doing Z-twists for your shoulder integrity. And it'd be the same people that say the behind the head military press is one of the most dangerous movements, while Coach Z throwing up 225 over his head as comfy as a kielbasa laid up in a hot dog bun. First comes stabilization, then it's mobilization. Write it down. For those who haven't seen it before, I'm gonna walk you through it. We're gonna start it off by retracting the shoulders back so that we're making a 90-degree angle with the forearm and the bicep. And here what we're gonna do, we're not simply rotating because we're going to hit the top of our head if we're just rotating. We are going to rotate and pull up at the same time above our heads. So if you just rotate, you're gonna hit your head. So as you rotate, pull up and back. Come back down. This is your starting position. We're not starting here and just using this momentum to get the bar up. We're not pulling here first and then twisting up. We are staying here at the starting position, rotating and pulling up above the head. Now I'm a big, strong dude. I only got 30 pounds on there and I'm already struggling. A lot of you won't even be able to do 5 or 10 pounds on the seated cable row, so go get yourself a band and follow me. You're just gonna do the same thing. Retract back and pull up above the head, coming back down to that starting position. And that's a good way to build yourself up to be able to rock it on the seated cable row.
If you are doing this, trying to warm up your shoulders before you go into your benching, that is not going to do shit for you. Spend 5 minutes before any shoulder movement or pressing movement at a cable, and then we go to the dumbbells. What we're going to do is we're going to have the cable height set up to where our forearms are aligned with our body in the path of resistance. Grab a D handle, get into tension, do 5 reps of these controlled, and then grab it with the other hand and do it the other way. Then we can swap, do it on the other side. Lift the cable up to where it's parallel when your forearms are lifted up to your shoulder. Grab the D handle here and then do this on each hand. Grab a very light dumbbell, come to a bench. Put your heel in between the crack of the bench. Make a bend with your knee and put your elbow on top. Keep your body tall. Lower the dumbbell to the side, keeping your shoulder up, controlled, and do it on both sides. I guarantee you, you will not have shoulder pain in your pressing movements and your shoulder movements anymore.
Shoulder hurts when you bench press? This is why. It's not your rotator cuff, but the real issue is your scapula can't support the press. Your scapula doesn't move right, your shoulder jams up, and that's what causes pain. Here's how to fix it. First, tall kneeling serratus punch. This trains your serratus to pull the shoulder forward and stabilize the scapula under load. Next, incline bench W's. These light up your lower traps and mid-back to control scapular retraction and posterior tilt. And last, single arm waiters carries. This forces your scapula and cuff to stabilize overhead like it should during pressing. If you're ready to fix your shoulder pain for good, comment or DM shoulder for a full shoulder assessment and individualized plan to fix your shoulder pain for good.
Does this hurt your shoulders? Does this hurt your elbow? Does this hurt your shoulders?
Does this hurt your elbow? Does this make you feel like your tricep is about to rip off the bone? Well, you're not alone. I don't generally like to make blanket statements, but 9 times out of 10, the source of the issue is not actually where you're feeling the pain. That's a lesson that can be applied to all aspects of life. But 9 times out of 10, when it has to do with your shoulder or your elbow pain, it's actually coming from your lats. The lat is a massive muscle, and it connects directly into the shoulder. How much time do you actually spend making sure that your lats are nice and loosey-goosey? I know for the longest time, I didn't. You will almost never hear me say, this is the one movement that blah, 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 blah. But in this case, I will say this is the one stretch that cured my tendinosis and has acted as a preventative from having it ever flare up again. You're gonna come to a flat bench. These weighted straight bars will work great. You're gonna put the elbows down on the bench. You're gonna step the knees back and pull back, letting those lats stretch out. And you're gonna hold this for about 30 seconds, do some cat-cow action. After 30 seconds of a static hold, you're going to rotate left and right 12 times each. And after you're done with those 12, you're going to fully extend and fully contract 12 times. And the reason you need to be holding a straight bar is because if you have very tight lats, what's gonna happen without the bar is as you come down, your arms are gonna collapse into each other and you're not gonna get the stretch you want. This is also actually a great way for you to find out if your lats are very tight.
This next exercise will activate every single muscle fiber in your entire back, from your neck down to your hips. It's the deficit pendlay row, and if you're not doing it, I genuinely think you're missing out. You get amazing mid-trap engagement from the scapular retraction, high levels of upper and lower trap activation from scapular stabilization, solid lat activation from shoulder extension, and your spinal erectors will light up since they have to fire asymmetrically throughout the entire set to keep you locked in that horizontal position. By standing on a bumper plate, you'll increase the range of motion, giving your lats a deeper stretch at the bottom than a traditional floor-level pendlay row.
For the cable loaded shoulder ER, you're going to set the cable height just under shoulder height and then row the elbow to the side of the shoulder with the palm down. Once the elbow is directly in line with the side of the shoulder, you're going to rotate the palm up to work the external rotation of the shoulder joint. Try to keep the elbow in the same position as you complete this movement.
Hands down, this is the best shoulder workout you'll ever try. Why? Because we're targeting muscles you probably never heard of. The supraspinatus, infraspinatus, subscapularis, and teres minor. These are your rotator cuff muscles, and I can promise you that focusing on these will significantly improve your ability to shoulder press and perform side raises. This workout can even help address issues like neck strains, shoulder popping, and pinching. That means less time out of the gym because of pain, resulting in more time for success and longevity.
Shoulder hurts when you bench press? This is why. It's not your rotator cuff, but the real issue is your scapula can't support the press. Your scapula doesn't move right, your shoulder jams up, and that's what causes pain. Here's how to fix it. First, tall kneeling serratus punch. This trains your serratus to pull the shoulder forward and stabilize the scapula under load. Next, incline bench W's. These light up your lower traps and mid-back to control scapular retraction and posterior tilt. And last, single arm waiters carries. This forces your scapula and cuff to stabilize overhead like it should during pressing. If you're ready to fix your shoulder pain for good, comment or DM shoulder for a full shoulder assessment and individualized plan to fix your shoulder pain for good.
Here's a workout with some of my favorite methods to build big traps and improve your posture. First, standing barbell shrugs. Immediately establish a rhythm to your repetitions, shrugging every one explosively. Use as much weight as possible, going to absolute failure on the final set. Utilizing a pair of lifting straps will help you a lot with this, allowing you to hold on to a lot more weight. Then, bent over single arm shrugs. These will help you develop a 3D looking back. From a fully relaxed and rounded position at the bottom, shrug your shoulder back, imagining that you're trying to wrap your shoulder blade around your spine as far as you can. Next, the lower trap raise, one of the best things that you could ever do for your shoulder health and posture. Keep your shoulders held back and down and your arms straight. Imagine that you're pulling your arm up from the middle of your back all the way to the top, carefully controlling it back down to the bottom. Finally, explosive dumbbell shrugs. Shrug the weight up as fast as you possibly can, securing a tight contraction at the top, holding it for 1 second. Slowly control the weight down to a fully relaxed stretch at the bottom.
Kelso shrug. Have you ever done that before?
Whatever that was, let's do it.
I want you to feel your traps, your mid traps. So when people hear traps, they think here.
Yeah.
But I'm sure, as you know, the traps run all the way down here. The mid traps are responsible for squeezing. The upper traps are responsible for shrugging. And then the lower traps are responsible for this kind of stuff. What we want to do is really focus on squeezing your mid traps together. Allow yourself to really round over the pad. Feel that stretch in your mid traps, and then get that full squeeze up at the top. That's going to get you to A tier. If you want to get to S tier, after you can't get it all the way up, you can actually still do a lot more work with your back if you weren't to do a full row. So all you're going to do is kind of a horizontal shrug. Okay. So you're going to shrug like this. Have you ever seen that before?
I don't think I've ever seen that exercise in my life.
Okay, so I want you to try it. Once you get to the point where you can't get that full squeeze, you're gonna walk your elbows.
Okay.
And you're gonna shrug back. Good.
What the heck?
Generally, the further over you bend, the more of your mid and lower back can get hit, versus if you bent over right here, it's almost all upper back. So you can do something like this. You can take one of these little hunky-dory rubber mats, step up, and bent roll off of it. You can do many mats. You can use the regular 25s, which are smaller. Auto creates a deficit, no wrong answers. But never, ever, ever go to a deficit, which requires you to round your back or lose a huge fraction of how much weight you can lift from the ground.
So this is how I would normally do the exercise. Okay, yeah, we can make it a little better. What I want you to do is I want you to tilt over, keeping your chest up and letting your elbows come up behind you until you're essentially parallel to the ground. Okay. And then I'm gonna ask you to pull in while coming up a little. And then on the way down, I want you to come down and let your arms really float up so you get a crazy amount of tension through those lats at the very point at which they're stretched the most, which is like all scienced out hypertrophy pills or whatever. So, okay, I'm here. So even lower. Hips lower. And then this up. Good. Big stretch here, yeah? Yep. And then as you come up, yes. And then back down. Slowly. Deeper, deeper. Oh, whoa. Yes. Whoa. And then hit it again. Yes. Perfect. And then down, deep, deep, deep. Elbows up. And then all the way up. Perfect. That's it.
Do you know the 5 most important things to build an aesthetic back? The first 2 are for the lats. A wide grip vertical pull as far as you can. The bottom half is where lats are trained. So think elbows to hips. Second is a row towards your body, keeping the elbows tucked close. Number 3 is for the upper back overall. Include at least one exercise that pinches the back together with your arms pointing outward. A wide grip chest supported row is the best, but a machine reverse fly works too as long as you pinch the back together. Number 4 is to isolate the traps. Chest supported shrugs are the way to go. They prevent anything else from getting in the way of you using them to their absolute max. Number 5, the low back and erectors. Deadlifts, any kind that you're already doing for your lower body. Get stronger at them and it'll benefit the back. I really hope this helped you.
You're going to focus on the stretch and the peak contraction by pulling the bar into your belly. You're not going to focus on heaving as much weight as you can with your lower back. Yes, your lower back moves, but just a tiny little bit.
Here are some ways to make your pull downs more effective.
First, don't lean back this much. Ideally, you should be perfectly vertical at the top to maximize the lat stretch, and then lean back by about 10 to 15 degrees as you bring the bar down to your chest. Second, use a thumbless grip. Almost everyone feels a better mind-muscle connection with their lats when they don't wrap their thumb around the bar. That's probably because it causes a looser grip, preventing your forearms from taking over. If your grip fails this way, use straps. You want your back to be the limiting factor, not your forearms. Third, control the negative on your last rep. Almost everyone gets the bar down, but then thinking the set is over, lets the bar fly back up. But this is a mistake. That final negative on your final rep may be the most important part of any rep you'll do. Lower the weight slowly as you feel your back pulling apart.
If
You don't want that happening to you. This is what you do. This is better than using an assisted pull-up machine or some band that's going to destroy your bloodline. Bench flat next to a squat rack or Smith. Feet up and perform a rack chin. If you want to make it easier, go lower. If you want to make it harder, go higher. And if you've never seen this exercise before, apart from my page, you owe me a follow. Unlike bands and machines, this is going to be one of your best progressions to a pull-up. Just make sure to pull the chest to bar like I pull ass to a face. You're welcome. Wolf out.
बैक को फाड़ कर बाहर निकालना है, उसे वी शेप बनाना है। तो ये 3 वर्कआउट से एनफ होंगे केबल मशीन्स के थ्रू। ऐड कर लीजिए रूटीन में सिर्फ 3 से 4 सेट्स 10 से 12 रेपिटेशन।
So this is how I would normally do the exercise.
Okay, yeah, we can make it a little better. What I want you to do is I want you to tilt over, keeping your chest up and letting your elbows come up behind you until you're essentially parallel to the ground.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna ask you to pull in while coming up a little. And then on the way down, I want you to come down and let your arms really float up so you get a crazy amount of tension through those lats at the very point at which they're stretched the most, which is like all scienced out hypertrophy pills or whatever.
So, okay, I'm here.
So even lower.
Hips
Good.
lower.
And then this up. Good. Big stretch here, yeah?
Yep.
And then as you come up, yes. And then back down. Slowly. Deeper, deeper.
Oh, whoa.
Yes.
Whoa.
And then hit it again. Yes. Perfect. And then down, deep, deep, deep. Elbows up. And then all the way up. Perfect. That's it.
The lats lose their line of pull once we pull the elbows behind the midline of the torso. Let's have a look. Do a lat pull down. Do it exactly how we just did it. Draw an imaginary line down the middle of his torso, and the lats are behind that. Bring them in line with it. So now we have line of pull for the lats. 2 different types of lat pull down. One for mid-back focus. Retract the press the scapula, extend the thoracic spine. One for lat focus. Elbows to the ground. 2 slightly different movements. If you want to target lats, this is lat dominant, elbows down. Keep them objectively in line with the midline of the torso. If you pull your elbows behind that, the lats lose their line of pull, and we are emphasizing the mid-back muscles. Which one's better? A combination of both. Understand, that's 2 separate exercises. Target the mid-back, go. Retract and depress scapula. Target the lats, elbows down, and relax.
Shoulder hurts when you bench press? This is why. It's not your rotator cuff, but the real issue is your scapula can't support the press. Your scapula doesn't move right, your shoulder jams up, and that's what causes pain. Here's how to fix it. First, tall kneeling serratus punch. This trains your serratus to pull the shoulder forward and stabilize the scapula under load. Next, incline bench W's. These light up your lower traps and mid-back to control scapular retraction and posterior tilt. And last, single arm waiters carries. This forces your scapula and cuff to stabilize overhead like it should during pressing. If you're ready to fix your shoulder pain for good, comment or DM shoulder for a full shoulder assessment and individualized plan to fix your shoulder pain for good.
This next exercise will activate every single muscle fiber in your entire back, from your neck down to your hips. It's the deficit pendlay row, and if you're not doing it, I genuinely think you're missing out. You get amazing mid-trap engagement from the scapular retraction, high levels of upper and lower trap activation from scapular stabilization, solid lat activation from shoulder extension, and your spinal erectors will light up since they have to fire asymmetrically throughout the entire set to keep you locked in that horizontal position. By standing on a bumper plate, you'll increase the range of motion, giving your lats a deeper stretch at the bottom than a traditional floor-level pendlay row.
I think it's safe to say big lats are a side effect of many pull-ups. But here's the problem. A lot of people struggle with this exercise. Like my patient Bethany, notice how she shifts to the right and then back to the left. She had actually been dealing with upper trap pain during this exercise for years. To fix, I started by teaching her a scap pull-up. This is where you initiate the movement by pulling your shoulder blades together and lifting your sternum towards the bar. This teaches you to begin the pull-up with your back rather than just pulling with your arms, which is what a lot of people do incorrectly. The progression was a scat pull-up plus a half pull-up hold, pausing and feeling the lats engage, which allowed her to do a balanced full pull-up without any pain.
These are 4 super effective lat exercises you probably don't know about that all emphasize a deep lat stretch. First, long length neutral grip pull-ups. Unlike traditional pull-ups, these keep the lats in their most stretched position, something new research shows is great for muscle growth. Going all the way up shifts tension to the mid-back, which is fine, but to prioritize the lat stretch, try staying in the bottom half. Still control the negative and still push the set hard. Second, a lat-focused cable row with lengthened partials. Think about dragging your elbows against the floor, and for lat emphasis, don't row past your shoulders so the mid-traps don't take over. At the end of your last set, keep going with partial reps in the stretched half. Third, the modified lat prayer. Most people do pullovers standing upright, but your lats never get a full stretch this way. To fix this, bend forward by 45 degrees and then lift your chest up on the positive to feel a better contraction. Fourth, the crossbody lat pull around. These provide a huge stretch on the lats from a unique angle. Brace against your knee, keep your shoulders square, and don't be tempted to twist your body. End the range of motion once your elbow is in line with your shoulder.
All right, this is my pull day based on science and experience. First exercise is a close grip lat pull down. Here I'm getting my torso vertical for a big stretch at the top and then driving my elbows down to engage my lats. Anatomy tells us that the lats contribute heavily to biomechanical shoulder extension, which is exactly what we're doing with the close grip. Next, it's a chest supported machine row. This is to target the mid back like the rhomboids and the mid traps. I'm keeping my elbows higher and more flared while squeezing my shoulder blades together at the top and then feeling them pull apart on the way down. After that, a close grip cable row. This will hit the lats again with biomechanical shoulder extension, but from a horizontal angle this time. Once I hit failure, I keep going with lengthened partials. Then I hit some reverse cable flies for the rear delts. I'm using lightweight and higher reps to prevent my mid traps from taking over. Then I do shrugs for the upper traps. The upper trap fibers run way more horizontally than people realize, so shrug up and in toward your ears. For biceps, 2 exercises, an easy bar curl and a machine preacher curl. Subscribe for more workouts like this.
If you hold the rope like this and pull towards your forehead, you'll target the lateral and rear delts. If you hold the rope like this and pull towards your shoulders, you'll target the rear delts and traps. If you pull towards your waist, you'll target the latissimus dorsi.
Cable face pulls.
I thought that cable face pulls were trash.
Who said they were trash? Show me how you do this.
So you want to see exactly how
I
I do
want
it?
to see the terrible way that you do it that sucks. Cool.
See, I do this. I feel nothing.
That was actually really good and is a fine way to do it.
Okay.
Let me show
I want
you
to see the
my
Mike Isertel way.
better way.
So like what? Like waist?
Yeah, look, waist
pocket
maybe
height?
hip a little lower than hip height. Back up out to generate some tension. And then it starts at a stretch like this.
Yes. Ooh, yeah, okay.
I want you to take your elbows and I want you to drive them up and back to beyond your ears. You're gonna pause at the top. You're gonna crunch up here and then you're gonna slowly release. And if you bring your elbows out and back, it's gonna get exactly the side delts.
Ooh.
Yes, very good.
I did not know you could do this
Side
back
delt crunch. Good. Big stretch. Perfect, just like that.
The perfect form for lat pull downs. Step 1. Approach the machine and position leg support for a snug fit. Toe press into it. Step 2. Grab outside shoulder width. Step 3. Position torso vertically and simply move your head back. Step 4. Pull straight down. Simultaneously pull the shoulders down and drive the elbows to the hips. Not everyone can touch the bar to their chest and that's okay, but pull as far as you can. Allow your shoulders to shrug up and pull down naturally. Save this for when you need. Hope it helps.
And so this is how I would normally do the exercise.
Okay, yeah, we can make it a little better. What I want you to do is I want you to tilt over, keeping your chest up and letting your elbows come up behind you until you're essentially parallel to the ground.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna ask you to pull in while coming up a little. And then on the way down, I want you to come down and let your arms really float up so you get a crazy amount of tension through those lats at the very point at which they're stretched the most, which is like all scienced out and hypertrophy pills or whatever.
So, okay, I'm here.
So even lower.
Hips
Good.
lower.
And then this up. Good. Big stretch here, yeah?
Yep.
And then as you come up, yes. And then back down, slowly, deeper, deeper.
Oh, whoa.
Yes.
Whoa.
And then hit it again. Yes, perfect. And then down, deep, 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 elbows up, and then all the way up. Perfect. That's it. The lat prayer. Couple things you want to keep in mind. One is you want to lean over here at this top part so that your lats are stretched a ton. You don't want to stop here. You want to reach overhead.
Yep.
Up there. Somewhere. I can't do that. Neither can you. Okay. As you come down, I want you to come down and hip in just a little bit, a tiny little bit. And then as you go down, I want you to lower your chest to get a big stretch and then come up. We pause here and then we pause gently here.
Okay.
Slow, deep. Yes. Oh, that was the perfect rep. Again, do it again. Perfect. Slow. Milk that shit. Again, hit it. Yes. No bending of the elbows. We're here only for good technique. That was a stupid, awful rep. I hate myself for looking at it. Chest down. Chest down. Open up. Yes. Down. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. That was good. Good stuff.
Never blow your back out again. Wait. Back extension. QL extension. Back extension, sit-ups. Reverse hypers. Leg raises. Pigeon stretch. Standing pancake.
Shenzhen Weightlifting recently shared their use of behind-the-neck pull-ups to develop strong scapular retraction and reduce lat tightness, which I've previously emphasized as the wider grip and pulling action greatly enhances scap adduction strength to help with overhead positions. There is much to learn from the practices of the best in the world, you just need to open your mind to it.
Não cessa no fim de semana.
Come with me to train shoulders. We started off with some rear delt cable flies to really activate our rear delt right away, because rear delts are one of my biggest weaknesses on my shoulders. If you really want a full shoulder look, do not skip out on these. You will thank me later. Next, we did lying rear delt raises, and let me just tell you, these are tough. I did about 3 sets to complete failure, and once you can't do any more, you're gonna wanna hold that last rep for 3 full seconds. Now I call these the Israel raises, because Dr. Mike taught me them himself. You're gonna hit multiple angles of the shoulder on this one, and if you've never done this, trust me, go light, because it is so difficult. It's a lot harder than it looks, okay? And the feeling of this exercise is so unique. Start light because you're really gonna feel these towards the end. Next up, lateral raises. Grab something light because after the last workout, I can guarantee that your shoulders are fried. Now, despite what people say, I still like to train my front delt. It really gives you that 3D look and, of course, the greatest shoulder pump of all time. Brought to you by the best pre-workout of all time, Gorilla Mind. Don't forget to use code Jesse. Give this a try and follow for more.
I tried Sam Sulik's shoulder workout, and now I feel like I need a spotter just to wash my hair. It's a really quick lift, and you can get this done in about 30 minutes. So you start with a lying face pull, and this was my first time trying these, but my rear delts were on fire. You put a bench right up to the cable system and just pull the bar towards your forehead. The connection was insane. Next, you go to a rear delt fly, and we're only doing 2 sets since we just smoked them on the cables. My rear delts were nowhere to be found after this. And by the way, if you like these videos, hit that little follow button. Then he moves on to a machine lateral raise, and these had me fighting for my life. I was failing on pretty much every set. And finally, to wrap up this quick workout, you'll knock out 2 sets of dumbbell lateral raises. Again, failing on both sets and really getting the blood in the muscle. You can add in a shoulder press or some arm work, but he only did 4 exercises and the pump was actually still insane. Follow if you want to see what crazy workout I try next.
RDL performance points. Hit all of them and you'll be a pro. First is the setup. We're gonna start with our feet directly below our hips and our hands immediately outside of our legs. The rest of the movement we're gonna perform from the top down. The second and most important performance point is bracing the core. We do that by breathing into our belly, into our obliques, into our lower back, and bearing down. If you're wearing a belt, think about breaking it off your body. Third, with the knees slightly bent, think about reaching the hips back to the wall behind you as you pull the chest up towards the ceiling. Think about a giant rubber band actively pulling your hips back. 4, only go as far as your hamstring mobility will allow. Going lower puts unnecessary stress on the lower back. 5, drive the hips forward by squeezing the glutes as hard as possible, then repeat the movement. Follow for more tips on mechanics.
Today I'm going to take you through 5 steps to a perfect Romanian deadlift to build your glutes, hamstrings, and improve your flexibility. Before we even grab onto a bar, we need to make sure you know how to hinge your hips effectively so you don't put all the load into your lower back. So the Romanian deadlift is all about pulling your hips as far back horizontally as possible, as opposed to bending forwards at the waist. You can see a pretty obvious difference there, but a lot of people mess this up, and that leads to them feeling a lot more than they should through their lower back. So a simple cue that I like to use is to imagine that you're carrying a bunch of groceries in from the car, you've stepped out, and you need to close the door behind you using your hips. That butt back motion is the exact motion that you want to try to emulate when you've got the barbell in your hands here. So the motion is butt going backwards with your legs as straight as possible, though a slight bend in them is completely fine, as opposed to me bending straight forwards like this. So the next step is to use wrist straps to help lock in your grip. No matter how strong your grip is, if you're doing any kind of actual working weights here on the Romanian deadlift, you'll always find grip to be the limiting factor. And you don't want your glutes and hamstrings to be limited by your grip strength. So instead of thinking about it as a hit to your ego if you don't use straps, I think of it more as if you don't need to use straps, you're probably not using anywhere near your true potential weight on Romanian deadlifts. And you can definitely stand to push yourself a lot harder on this exercise. So the next step you'll see here is I'm loading this up in a rack. This is going to help to save me a lot of energy from having to deadlift the bar off the ground. So set up at about waist height, I'm strapped in, lifting off and stepping straight back and going into some reps now. So I'm thinking butt going back to shut the door behind me, hips straight forwards. Butt back, hit the door behind me closed, come straight back up. So the next step I'm thinking about here is when I push my hips back, it's not just pushing them back behind me as far as possible, I'm also thinking about trying to pull my hips back and up towards the back top corner of the room. This tiny technique adjustment doesn't necessarily change much visually, but internally, I feel my hamstring stretching out so much more as I'm thinking about pulling my butt right back and up behind me. And the final thing I'm thinking about here is how I'm putting pressure through my feet. A big mistake I used to make was thinking about screwing my feet outwards the entire time and pushing more weight through the outside of my foot or even just my heels. And this really wound up limiting the amount of range of motion I got out of the exercise. Instead, what I'm trying to think about here is as I come down into the bottom of the deadlift, letting my feet roll inwards slightly into what's called pronation, as this really lets me stretch out my glutes that much more and push my hips out a lot further. And then as I come up, I'm thinking about pushing hard through the middle of my foot, around the ball of my foot, and thrusting my hips forwards. Because of the mechanics of the lift, you might find yourself shifting back a little bit more towards your heels, and that's perfectly fine as well. But what I really recommend you do is think about the inside edge of your foot as opposed to the outside edge of your foot. You'll often find you get a lot more range and a lot more power out of the exercise by doing it this way. So just so you can see the visual differences here, I'm going to do this rep here with my feet screwing outwards into the ground and pulling more through the outside edge of my foot, just like this. And what you'll find is at this point here, this is where I feel my hamstrings tensioning a lot and a kind of a nervy, stretchy sensation through the back of my legs. Whereas on this set, I'm not going to think about pushing out through the outside edges of my foot or screw my feet apart. I'm going to let my weight distribute wherever it feels most comfortable, which you'll find is a lot more through the middle of the foot and maybe through the heels as you lower yourself down a little bit more towards the bottom ranges. So by doing this, what you'll see is I'm able to get a lot more range of motion to the point where I've had to now stand upon a deficit to make sure the plates aren't hitting the ground, and I'm able to really stretch out and open up through my glutes and my hamstrings to really train those muscles in their end range positions. This is going to put them under a lot more tension and get them a lot stronger and help to build some more muscle and flexibility in this range of motion. And that's about it. You don't need to overcomplicate this too much whatsoever. Just think about those 5 main steps. From there are some minor things you can do, like playing with your stance width a little bit more, or maybe thinking about how your pelvis is positioned, whether you arch your back a little bit more or a little bit less. But those things are really dependent on your own structure and your own comfort. So feel free to play around with those things and find what works best for you. Hope you found that helpful. I've got to get back to training now, but if there are any other exercises you want some more technique tips on, drop in the comments below. And if you want to watch another video, check one out over here.
Do you have back pain trying to start your deadlift? The start of the deadlift is when the spine is most loaded with flexion torque. We want to stabilize in this position to limit excessive motion of the spine that can trigger pain in some people.
Step 1 in this process is learning how to properly breathe and brace. Clasp your hands around your side like this. Then slowly breathe into your thumbs and fingers. The idea is to learn how to horizontally inflate.
Then follow this sequence. Start with tension in your abs up top. If you poke them right here, they should feel fairly stiff. Maintain this tension as you drop down into your start position. Step 2, you need to learn how to use your glutes. Ed Cohen, the greatest powerlifter of all time, teaches to wiggle into your bottom position and engage your hips before ever moving the barbell. Drive your feet hard into the ground, and if you do this correctly with light weight, the bar will almost feel like it comes off the ground.
So it's tension in the abs at the top, get into a strong bottom position, breathe laterally before bracing once more, activate your hips, and then start your pull. The difference between an excellent deadlift like this and a bad deadlift like this all comes down to one simple movement, the hinge. And if you want to fix your deadlift, here's how to perfect the hinge so you can lift more weight with better form. Start 1 foot away from the wall and set your feet about shoulder width apart. Slightly bend your knees. Then brace your core by contracting your abs in a way that expands your abs laterally. Notice his fingers push out if done correctly. Then while maintaining this neutral spine, move about your hips. So bend over by pushing your butt back. Many will be able to touch their butt to the wall at this distance. Then reverse the motion on the way up. If you don't feel your glutes and hamstrings engaging in this bottom position, or you feel your back, try rolling a foam roller down your thigh to see if that helps feel the desired movement. Then, as you set up your deadlift, push your hips back with your hands to cue the same hinge. As you get down and grab the bar, get extremely tight and open the hinge on the way up. So this is not a hinge, but this is a hinge. Hope that can help.
Deadlift checklist. If you tick all 5, you have a perfect deadlift. First, set your stance. Start with your shins about 1 inch from the barbell and your feet at hip width. For a sumo deadlift, you'll take a wider stance, but I'll cover that separately. The bar should cross the middle of your foot. Point your toes slightly out. Second, grab the bar. Set your hips back with nearly straight knees. Don't make the common mistake of squatting down. A deadlift isn't a squat. Grip the bar with your hands just outside your shins. An over-under grip, hook grip, or strapped grip will keep the bar from slipping. Let your shins make contact with the bar, and they should be pointed straight up. Third, Third, pull the slack out. Instead of ripping the bar, pull tension into the bar gradually. Fourth, pull. Lift your chest up while thrusting your hips forward. Keep the bar in contact with your legs. Fifth, lockout. Stand up straight and lift your chest up. Don't shrug or squeeze your back at the top. Lower the weight by setting your hips back and letting your knees bend. Keep the bar in tight so that it lands back over the middle of your foot.
Now you have my... Whether you've got long femurs, short arms, or something in between, your anatomy plays a huge role in how you should approach the deadlift. In this video, I'll team up with some new friends to break down the mechanics of the perfect deadlift for your body type. Plus, I'll share a quick test to help you discover whether your anatomy is more cut out for conventional or sumo deadlifting. But first, let's go over the basics. You need to understand the 3 fundamental pillars of a textbook starting position for the conventional deadlift that should be applied to everyone, no matter your anatomy. First, the barbell should be positioned over the midpoint of your foot. Next, align the center of the barbell with your posterior deltoid or spine of the scapula. And finally, connect the bar to your shins. These technique points are for everyone, no matter how tall or short you are. Even the tallest strongmen apply these 3 pillars in their lifts. Now, let's explore how specific anatomical variations can change and alter the starting position of a deadlift while still adhering to those 3 fundamental pillars. Today, we'll focus on the 2 most significant factors: limb length and torso length. To find your torso length, grab a measuring tape and find the length between your hip bone and the distance to the top of your head. For your leg length, start at your hip bone and measure the distance to the floor. Next, plug in those measurements into this simple formula and see what you find. In a scientific study conducted in 2020, researchers found that if you have a long torso or long legs, it can potentially impact your deadlift technique. When a lifter has proportionally shorter legs or a longer torso, their hips will often be positioned slightly lower than their traditional textbook deadlift form. Additionally, their knees will be in a deeper flexed position, requiring them to rely more on leg drive to lift the weight. In contrast, when a lifter has proportionally longer legs or a shorter torso, their hips will often need to be positioned slightly higher than the traditional textbook deadlift form in order to align the body with the 3 fundamental pillars. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Doesn't a more horizontal back position put the low back at more risk? While a higher hip position does place more load on the lumbar spine, the deadlift can still be perfectly executed with minimal risk if you follow these 2 steps. Step 1, we want to lock the spine in place and minimize movement during the lift. The more back movement we see, the more risk of injury rises. Proper bracing limits excessive spine motion. To learn how to brace your core, stick your fingers into the sides of your stomach. Take a breath in a way that expands your torso to the side and pushes your fingers away. Then engage your ab muscles to create torso stiffness. For the second step, let's learn from the GOAT of powerlifting, Ed Cohen.
My object was, how can I use my whole body into whatever movement I'm doing? As I grab the bar and pull the tension out, all of a sudden every muscle from my neck down to my lower back gets squeezed and pulled in tight, which I guess is to protect my spine and maintain that position. At the same time, I try to wiggle my hips in closer to the bar under tension, and then my glutes are just ready to explode right from the bottom.
Basically build that pre-tension in your hips ever before the bars move from the ground.
Yes, in my whole body. Most people don't preload their hips enough. That's why their butts come up, and they end up using way too much back.
So even though your hips may be a bit higher in your start position, depending on your anatomy variation, as long as you brace your core and pre-engage your glutes at the start to limit excessive hips rising, you can still have a very strong and safe deadlift. Now, before we move on, if you're someone who struggles with any aches and pains, be sure to check out my injury fix book, Rebuilding Milo. It will walk you through the exact tests and corrective exercises I use with some of the best athletes in the world to help them fix their injuries. I'll have a link in the show notes after this video. Let's now discuss whether you'd possibly feel more comfortable pulling conventional or sumo technique. And no, sumo isn't cheating for these 2 reasons. First, in powerlifting competitions, both conventional and sumo deadlifts are explicitly allowed, meaning neither is considered an unfair advantage. Second, sumo isn't necessarily easier. For example, according to current world records, the heaviest deadlift ever recorded is a conventional deadlift, while the heaviest sumo deadlift is considered to be slightly lower. Each technique challenges the body differently. The sumo stance reduces the range of motion, but it requires more hip mobility, glute strength, and adductor engagement. Conversely, the conventional deadlift involves more back and hamstring activation. Choosing a style that aligns with your body mechanics isn't cheating, it's smart training. And one key factor, arm length, can determine which technique may be best for you. Measure from the tip of your shoulder, right where the humeral head is, down to the tip of your third finger. In that same research study we discussed earlier, the researchers found that if your arms account for significantly more or less than 38% of your total body length, it can potentially influence which deadlift technique may feel best to you. If your arms are longer than average, conventional deadlifts may feel more natural because they reduce the range of motion needed. If your arms are shorter than average, you may find sumo deadlifts easier since they minimize torso lean and allow for a more upright start. And if your arms are average length, you'll likely have success with either style. It all depends on your preference and comfort. Now that you have a better understanding of how your anatomy can affect your deadlift technique and what style may be best for you, check out this video to find out how anatomy variations can affect your squat technique.
Naughty legend, roll up that ass. Go get horny and I'll roll up that ass. You just want to be like him.
Deadlifts are a great exercise to build the entire backside of the body, but only if you do them right. Step 1. Stand with your feet hip width apart and the bar over your midfoot. Align your ribs and hips by tilting your pelvis back and bracing your core as if you're about to be punched in the stomach. Step 2. Make a fist and punch your hands down to the floor to activate your lats. Push your hips back and bend your knees until you can reach the bar. Grab it just outside your knees. Step 3. Drive your knees out against your arms, take a deep 360 breath and brace your core. Extend your chest to flatten your back, then squeeze your armpits to activate your lats. Step 4. Push down with your feet until the bar passes your knees and then thrust your hips forward to finish the lift. Step 5. Push your hips back and slide the bar as close as possible along your thighs. Once the bar passes your knees, bend your knees and slide it along your shins to return to the starting position. Congrats! You've just done the perfect deadlift.
दोस्तों ये वाली डेडलिफ्ट गलत है और ये जो सेकंड वाली दिखाई है ये भी गलत है, ये थर्ड वाली दिखाई ये भी गलत है। देखो डेडलिफ्ट गलत है लेकिन डेडलिफ्ट करना कभी भी गलत नहीं होता। आप सही पोस्चर में करेंगे तो इनमें गलतियां क्या है? पहली डेडलिफ्ट में जब आप बार के नजदीक आए बिना ही आपने वेट उठाना शुरू कर दिया, बार के और आपके पैरों के बीच में बहुत ज्यादा गैप है, ये आपकी लोअर बैक को हर्ट कर सकता है। सेकंड वाली जो डेडलिफ्ट है इसमें आप नजदीक तो आ गए लेकिन आपकी अपर बॉडी अभी भी फ्लोर के पैरेलल है। इस पोस्चर में वेट उठाना आपके लिए टफ हो जाएगा और ये भी आपकी लोअर बैक पे ज्यादा लोड डालेगा, कंफर्टेबल स्टेज नहीं है। थर्ड वाली डेडलिफ्ट में आप नजदीक भी आ गए, आपने अपने पोस्चर को भी करेक्ट किया, लेकिन जैसे आप वेट उठाने के लिए आप बार पे जोर लगाया, आपने पहले हिप उठा दी और बाद में आपने वेट उठाना शुरू किया, यानी वही पैरेलल वाली पोजीशन में फिर आ गए, तो पोस्चर बनाने का फायदा नहीं मिला आपको। देखो सही तरीका ये है कि आप बार के नजदीक आए, पैरों के और आपकी बार के बीच में ना 1 या 2 सेंटीमीटर का गैप रहेगा और यहां से आपने नी को बेंड करना है, हिप डाउन करने हैं, चेस्ट को अप करना है, अपनी लेट्स को एंगेज करना है और फिर ये जो पोस्चर बनाया है ना, ये जो आप इसमें देख रहे हैं, इसी पोस्चर में बिना इसको ब्रेक किया आपने बार पे जोर लगा के फिर बार को लिफ्ट करना है, चेस्ट डाउन नहीं होने देना। यही है, अगर जिस लोड पे आप इस पोस्चर को मेंटेन नहीं कर पाते वो लोड आपके लिए ज्यादा हो गया है, पहले उससे कम लोड पे आप रेपिटेशन लगाएं, वो रेपिटेशन करते करते आप हैवी लोड पे जाएंगे, धीरे धीरे ग्रेजुअली बढ़ेंगे। अगर आप सही पोस्चर में डेडलिफ्ट लगाएंगे तो बिल्कुल गलत नहीं है। डे टू डे लाइफ में डेडलिफ्ट करने से जो स्ट्रेंथ आपकी लोअर बैक में आती है वो हर काम में आपको हेल्प करता है, आपको इंजरी होने से बचाता है, सिर्फ जिम के अंदर नहीं, जिम के बाहर भी। जब भी आप कोई काम करते हैं, वेट उठाते हैं, कुछ वेट इधर उधर सरकाते हैं, आप लाइफ के हर फेज में काम आता है, आपकी लोअर बैक स्ट्रॉन्ग होगी तो। और हाँ, डेडलिफ्ट करने के बाद हाइपर एक्सटेंशन जरूर लगाएं, बार बार बोलता हूँ, लास्ट में हाइपर एक्सटेंशन आपने जरूर लगाना है। तो ये छोटी सी टिप्स है, ध्यान देंगे आप तो आपकी डेडलिफ्ट इंप्रूव कर जाएगी। Don't be a dick.
with your deadlift. And there's many people that think that just because they can squat, they can now automatically deadlift. And that's just not the fucking case. Now, first of all, take off the high heels, because you don't want to be any taller for deadlifting. And then you need to actually realize that a deadlift is a hip hinge. That's right. Where with a squat, you load your quads. With a deadlift, you actually load your hamstrings and your glutes, which means make sure that first of all, your feet aren't shoulder width. No, mate. Ideally, hip width, around where you'd actually be most powerful to jump. You then want to push the hips back, feeling a nice stretch on the hamstring on the way down and drive the knees out. No dropping the knees forward. You're squatting again, fucking mount. Make sure you're driving the knees out. You're then going to grip the bar just outside of your knees. Make sure your back's nice and straight and push all the way through the feet, feeling like you're pushing the floor away from you. Now, if you're just starting out with a movement, you want to make sure you then do it all correctly in reverse. Just by doing this, you're going to find that you get the pattern right, you're loading your hamstrings all the way through the movement, and you're not going to fuck your back up. So guess what?
जी आपको यकीन नहीं होगा कि मैंने अभी तक डेडलिफ्ट का ट्यूटोरियल नहीं बनाया। मेरे चैनल का नाम बारबेल बात है। डेडलिफ्ट को हम मेनली 3 पार्ट में डिवाइड कर देंगे। पहला है स्टार्टिंग पोजीशन। स्टार्टिंग पोजीशन सबसे ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट इसलिए क्योंकि अगर वही खराब होगी तो पूरी लिफ्ट खराब होगी। ये पोजीशन थोड़ी थोड़ी सबके लिए अलग होगी, आपकी एनाटॉमी में डिपेंड करेगा, इसलिए यहाँ मैं जनरल गाइडलाइन दूंगा। सबसे पहले मैं बारबेल से 1-1.5 इंच करीब दूर खड़ा रहूंगा, जहाँ पे मेरा मिड फुट मतलब मेरे पाँव का बीच वाला हिस्सा बारबेल के जस्ट नीचे है। अभी अलग अलग एंगल से अलग अलग दिखता है, लेकिन ऊपर से दिखना चाहिए बीच में। फीट की विड्थ आपकी जनरली हिप की विड्थ के बराबर होगी। आइडियली आप वो विड्थ चूज करेंगे जिसमें आप सबसे ऊपर जंप कर पाए एंड सबसे ज्यादा स्टेबल फील हो। एंड अब आप घुटने बेंड नहीं करेंगे या फिर बैक बेंड नहीं करेंगे, आप बस हिप्स को पीछे पुश करते रहेंगे। आपको यहाँ पे बहुत ज्यादा टेंशन फील होगा, इस टेंशन को मेंटेन रखना है। फिर आप टेंशन मेंटेन करते हुए बारबेल को अपने फीट के राइट बाहर पकड़ेंगे। इस पोजीशन में अपनी बेली में डीप ब्रेथ लेंगे एंड फिर ऐसे टाइट करेंगे जैसे कोई पंच करने वाला हो। एंड फिर आप बारबेल को हल्का खींचेंगे जिससे आपकी बैक में भी टाइटनेस आ जाएगी एंड बारबेल से भी स्लैप चला जाएगा। एंड अब स्टार्टिंग पोजीशन का लास्ट स्टेप है अपनी शिन्स को बारबेल पर टच कर देना और टेंशन मेंटेन रखना है, समथिंग लाइक दिस। तो आप नोटिस करेंगे स्टार्टिंग पोजीशन में बॉडी बहुत ही ज्यादा टेंस्ड पोजीशन में। ये पोजीशन इजी नहीं है मेंटेन करना लॉन्ग टर्म। इस पोजीशन का अच्छा इंडिकेटर ये है कि बारबेल मिड फुट के राइट ऊपर एंड अंडर आर्म से स्कैपुला के राइट नीचे है, एक लाइन में। अगर मेरे अंडर आर्म्स ज्यादा आगे हो गए तो बारबेल दूर भागेगा एंड अगर ज्यादा पीछे होते हैं स्क्वाट बन जाएगा। स्टार्टिंग पोजीशन कंप्लीट। अब तो इजी है, अब सिंपली नीज तक आना तक आपको बस अपने पांव से पुश करना है, अपनी बैक से बारबेल को पास टच रखना है एंड जैसे नीज क्रॉस हुआ तो हिप्स आगे पुश करना है। सिंपल।
Let me sit my stupid ass down. Bro!
Here's a tip to help you feel your glutes and hamstrings and perfect your RDL technique. Hold a weight plate on your hips and use the cue smash the plate into the wall behind you. This will help you perfect your RDL technique, no matter if you're using dumbbells or a barbell. The RDL is a hinge movement, so you want to envision your hip joint like a door jamb hinge, opening and shutting. People that just bend forward with their torso move too much with their spine. They end up feeling their back too much rather than their glutes and hamstring. So if you struggle to feel your glutes and hamstrings or you feel your low back too much, use this drill as a warm-up to prime that hinge motion. Keep your toes down and drive that plate through the wall on the way down.
Stop squatting your deadlifts. If you're dropping your hips to the point that they're almost level with your knees, this is a squat position, not a deadlift position. If you pull the bar from here, your knees are over the bar, so you drag the bar up your shins and almost decap yourself. And not only that, because your body weight's over top of your toes, not in line with your heels, as you pull the bar, all of the tension's absorbed by your lower back. I suppose I'll show you how to fix that. When you step over the bar, make sure the bar's covering your midfoot where your shoelaces are, and push your bum backwards towards the wall behind you, even if it's an invisible one. Grab onto the bar, make your arms as long as possible. If your knees are leaning forwards over your toes, push your hips backwards and up at the same time as pulling against the bar. Lift your hips until your shins are vertical, and now roll the bar towards your shins. Drop your shoulders back and down towards your pockets and try to lift your chest. Pull your head backwards towards the ceiling. This should set you up in a position that's just right for pushing the floor away using your hips.
If you're deadlifting this week, then give this warm-up a try. Lie on your back and do 10 pairs of knee side to sides to loosen up your lower back. Follow this up with 10 pairs of prone scorpions to mobilize the hips, spine, and obliques. Now let's open up your groin and adductors with 10 reps of half kneeling adductor dips per side. Then sneak in 10 reps of a prayer stretch to open up your T-spine and lats. Now let's activate the posterior, chain, and core with 12 reps of a 45-degree back extension, 12 pairs of half kneeling pull-off press, and 5 warm-up reps on the barbell deadlift for 2 sets, and we're ready to go.
Most people perform the RDL with dumbbells or a barbell. As you hinge, gravity pulls straight down on the weight, which creates shearing loads on your low back. But if using good technique and good core stability, your back muscles activate appropriately and stabilize your spine and keep everything nice and safe. A cable RDL, however, set up like this changes those load dynamics. Because weight is pulling forward rather than straight down because of gravity, there's less shearing load on your lower back. Many that have back pain with RDLs often fail to maintain that desired neutral spine. They allow their back to flex too much, and because of the high shear loads, that increases risk of injury. In this situation, some people can use a cable RDL setup pain-free to still work their glutes and hamstrings while they fix their problem mechanics with the free weight RDL.
Teaching an RDL or hip hinge can be quite a difficult task, especially when the athlete is an adolescent or child, and unfortunately a lot of coaches just don't understand how to teach movements to individuals who lack certain foundational movement patterns. So if you're wanting to learn how to perform or coach a hinge, this is one of the best ways to guarantee success, and the one I applied when I was coaching students at a sports academy. The 3-point contact hinge. You're going to want to grab a dowel, stick or broom and place it onto the back. There are going to be 3 points of contact: back of the head, middle of the shoulder blades and tailbone. You must maintain a mostly vertical shin whilst driving your hips backwards as if you were closing a car door, and when doing so there should be a stretching sensation through the hamstrings and glutes, which can be a good indicator that you are on the right track. Although whilst doing so we need to look out for and avoid any loss of the 3 points of contact, the shin no longer being vertical, which occurs from 1, bending the knee, which is seen when the shin turns into a positive angle as this turns the movement into more of a squat, or 2, the knee being too stiff or straight, which is seen when the shin turns into a negative shin angle, which can cause a more shallow hinge in untrained individuals, but can be utilized by advanced individuals when performing a more hamstring biased hinge, but should be avoided for now. Once the individual is able to perform the hinge consistently with a stick, they can move on to a kettlebell or barbell depending on their potential capabilities, but under no circumstance should they begin pushing close to or to failure until they are able to consistently perform the hinge whilst under load, which can take weeks or months due to the advanced nature of the exercise.
Taking the slack out of the bar is a hard skill to learn, but that's helped me go from deadlifting 210 to deadlifting 275 kilos. And here are 4 cues that no one else is telling you to help you do the same. Think of the deadlift like a seesaw. One side of the seesaw pulling, the other side of the seesaw pushing. Think about pulling your hips towards the bar at the start and throughout. And the key word, throughout. Aim to squeeze yourself between the bar and the floor, which is what some people call creating a wedge. If you get that right, it will help you know whether or not your start position is correct or not. Because when you're too far away from the bar, your hips will continue to drop too low. And if you're shit taking the slack out of the bar, focus first on anchoring the hips down, stable, then driving your feet into the floor. For any of this to work, here are 2 things you need to get right. Do your heavy deadlift session every 7 to 10 days. Then do a lighter session halfway between your heavier session. Focus less on trying to keep the back straight, but more on breathing into the belly to keep the trunk stable. If you've got this far, you've obviously found it helpful. So for more content like this, why don't you drop me a follow?
This is me deadlifting over 400 pounds. But here's what you don't see. First, I straighten my back by extending my chest and getting tall, from my hips all the way to my head. Then, I activate my lats by thinking about bending the bar towards me, squeezing my armpits as if I had oranges in them and I was trying to make juice. Next, I brace my core hard, as if someone was about to punch my stomach. Then, I pull the slack out of the bar by pushing the floor down with my feet, before exerting full effort to lift the weight. All of this will maximize your strength and prevent injury, especially on the first, most difficult rep.
If you're deadlifting this week, then give this warm-up a try. Lie on your back and perform 10 pairs of the iron cross stretch to loosen up your lower back and glutes. Follow this up with 15 side-lying open books per side to open up your thoracic spine. Next, let's stretch out the hamstrings with 10 single-leg hamstring drops per side. Then sprinkle in 10 reps of cobra to downward dog to loosen up your shoulder blades and lats. Now let's wake up your glutes, core, and posterior chain with 10 pairs of kettlebell plank transfers, 10 pairs of stationary suitcase marches, and 20 kb swings for 2 sets, and off you go.
Here's the difference between a cable RDL that pulls straight down and one that pulls at an angle forward. The RDL is an excellent exercise to work your glutes and hamstrings. When you perform it with a free weight like a barbell, gravity is pulling straight down on that weight, meaning your core muscles have to work really hard to offset the forces to maintain a stiffened spine and keep the motion centered about the hips in a hinge. So a cable machine set up straight up and down is going to more so mimic the demands of a free weight RDL. But if you only feel your low back or even back pain, the demands of this exercise may be greater than your capacity to maintain core stability. In cases like this, a cable RDL with a more forward pull can allow many to still work their posterior chain and their hinge mechanics while they rebuild core stability because there's less shearing demands on the low back. So now you know the difference.
The biggest cue and kind of thing that I made up a while back when we were filming with someone actually, asshole to the upper back corner of the room. The reason I don't say knees back a ton until I teach them that cue is because this also helps with the lower back. So if you say big chest, tight lower back, and you see them doing this, but you say asshole to the back corner, you'll notice they go like this. And because of that, they also put their spine in a nice position. If I just say knees back, someone might just go like this. They end in that cool straight legged position, but it's not exactly the tension that we're trying to put in the hamstrings. So give that cue a shot if you're a coach or somebody with your athletes. See if it sticks in their head. If not, those traditional cueing like, neutral spine, tight lower back, knees back, whatever works for the athlete is the best cue for them.
Are you making this common deadlift mistake? Most people are. We call this squatting the deadlift. It's just an inefficient way to do it and can even lead to injuries. Here's what we do instead. The most important thing with deadlifting is building full body tension first. When our hips are too low, it puts our shoulder blades behind the bar, not allowing us to do that. Here's what we're gonna do. The bar's not gonna catch and create that tension until our shoulder blades are in line with the bar. So we're gonna start with our hips up high and then do this. With our hips up high, we're gonna brace our core as hard as possible, pull up on the bar so you hear this click. Then lower the hips and pull the chest up until the bar is directly under the shoulder blades. Then once we're in position, we're gonna push with the legs, continuing to pull the chest up.
This is the reason your back, knees, and hips feel like shit when you do trap bar deadlifts. You're standing with your feet so far apart that when you bend over to grab the bar, your arms are pushing your knees towards each other. So cut that shit out and do this instead. Grip the floor hard and then try to screw in, which will cause your knees to move away from each other. From there, keep your chest proud and your back flat while you push your hips back and feel tension in your hamstrings. Grab the bar and try to hide your armpits so that your shoulder is behind your chest. Keep your back flat, chin in line with your rib cage, pull up on the bar, stand up with it. The trap bar deadlift is an amazing exercise that'll help get you in shape. So save this for the next time you go to the gym.
Different ab exercises you can do on a cable machine.
Crunches are the worst ab exercise in existence. I'm going to show you 6 movements that are about 1,000 times more effective, and if you're not doing the last one, are you even training your core? First is the halo. This not only builds your core, but also improves shoulder mobility. 2 birds with 1 stone. Hip flexion is a fundamental movement. Think walking or climbing stairs. The leg liftover develops your quads and hip flexors like nothing else. Want a movement with direct carryover to everyday life? The standing march is that. Think of carrying groceries or your kid. It builds stability and balance in ways that actually matter. Anti-rotation is key for bracing the core and protecting your spine. Try a bear plank drag. Just keep the back flat and keep your hips level. This next one will humble you. The split stance pass-through develops both the legs and the core. If it's too tough, drop down to 1 knee. And one thing most people neglect, rotation. If you truly want a bulletproof core, you need to be doing the half kneeling chop. So ditch the crunches and save this for later.
Wait a minute, get it how you live it. 10 toes in when we standing on business. I'm a big stepper, underground methods, top notch chores, get the most, not the lesser. Straight terror, product of your errors. Pushing culture, baby, got that body you can measure. Trendsetter, the one who get away.
Drip too hard, don't stand too close, you gon' fuck around and drown. Off this way, doing all these shows. I've been on the road, I don't care where I go, as long as I get paid. Bad little vibe, she been on my mind. Soon as I get back, she get straight. Do this all the time, this ain't no surprise. Every other night, another movie getting paid. Drip too hard, don't stand too close, you gon' fuck around. Drip too hard, don't stand too close, you gon' fuck around and drown. Off this way, doing all these shows. I've been on the road, I don't care where I go, as long as I get paid. Bad little vibe, she been on my mind. Soon as I get back, she get straight. Do this all the time, this ain't no surprise. Every other night, another movie getting paid. Drip too hard, don't stand too close, you gon' fuck around.
Ever since I was a kid, I've been a G. If I was you, I would cut up my wrist. Exotic all over her body. Oh, she just wanna roll and I don't mind it. Ever since I was a wait a minute, get it how you live it. 10 toes in when we standing on business. I'm a big stepper, underground methods. Top-notch hoes, get the most, not the lesser. Straight terror, product of your errors. Pushing culture, baby, got that body you can measure.
I trained abs like a professional rugby player who have some of the strongest cores in the world. We start off with seesaws, which I'd never done, so they blasted my obliques, since you're trying to swing the weight as hard as you can without falling over. Then straight into medicine ball throws, which are even harder, since there's no rest at any point in the movement. Yet this still doesn't compare to the last exercise. Even though we still have wood choppers, I just kept cracking my back trying to move the weight as hard as I could, before doing one of my favorites, hollow holds, which always have me shaking by the end, before going immediately into pendulum swings, which were definitely not easy because they feel like Russian twists on crack, which is why my knees are so wide, just trying not to fall over. Before doing the hardest exercise of all, ab rollers, which is easily one of the greatest core exercises of all time. You can access my workout plans in my bio.
The landmine is a tool a lot of you guys stay away from just because you don't know how to use it. But when it comes to training functional, the landmine is essential because it allows you to get resistance at different planes of motion so you can include that rotation and driving through the kinetic chain. Save this exercise and follow me for more if you want to train for performance, longevity, and athleticism.
To build your best six-pack, you really only need 2 exercises, 1 weight-loaded crunch and 1 leg raise. That's it. For the loaded crunch, you can do a cable crunch where you grab a rope, kneel down, and crunch while allowing your lower back to round as you squeeze your abs. Do these for 3 sets of 10 to 12 reps twice per week, taking your last set all the way to failure. That means you can't complete a full rep despite maximum effort. These will hit the full 6-pack, but probably slightly emphasize the upper 4-pack. So for some lower ab bias, you should add a leg raise. For these, you can do them hanging from a pull-up bar, or you can use a Roman chair. Now, if you can't do a straight leg raise yet, you can do bent knee raises instead. Do these for 3 sets of 10 to 20, also twice per week, and also take your last set all the way to failure. To progress on these, I prefer to add reps. So I'll start at 3 sets of 10, and then I'll add 1 rep each week until I get to 3 sets of 20. At that point, you can add some ankle weights, or you can start slowing down the negative. But once you're there, you should have some pretty solid ab development anyway.
We all know that abs are made in the kitchen, but you still have to train them correctly, and I would bet you're making these 3 common mistakes. Mistake number 1. When trying to bias your upper abs, you crunch all the way down to the point you can smell your own starfish. The problem is the rectus abdominis, your 6-pack, is only responsible for the first 30 to 40 degrees of flexion. After that, you're just locking down an isometric contraction and relying on your obliques and eventually your hip flexors to get you down to that questionable sniff. In Instead, cut the movement down to just flexion and controlled extension, focusing on curling that thorax towards your pelvis while locking your hips into place. Mistake number 2, trying to bias your lower abs with an exercise like this, but allowing your back to arch and shifting all that pressure into your lumbar spine, which eventually will cause you to shit out said spine. It will happen. Boop. Instead, set up a hanging leg raise with a bar against your lower back. This will allow you to solely focus on posteriorly tilting those hips to target those lower abs. Less of a chance of your spine turning into a little turtle head. Mistake number 3, only doing abdominal movements that are in the sagittal plane. The issue is, I guarantee anytime you've ever injured your back, it's either because you're reaching down for something and you're twisting, or you're trying to pick something up and you're tilted to one side and then the fix is to start targeting those core muscles you've been neglecting your entire life, like the quadratus laborum, which you can effectively target by doing side bends on the hyperextension, but making sure you're not just bending with your upper back, you're getting length all the way down to that hip. Now you have a movement in the frontal plane, and also targeting those flat abdominal wall muscles like the external oblique, internal oblique, and transversus abdominis. For internal and external obliques, my go-to is a kneeling modified cable rotation because it allows me to take leg drive out of the movement and focus on progressively overloading the obliques. For the transversus abdominis, I like bridges on the TRX, bracing those abdominals for 30 seconds at a time for 4 to 5 rounds. And if you're worried, oh my god, I don't want my waist to get bigger, no one's ever gonna touch your wiener with a mentality like that. Would you rather have stronger, thicker abs that allow you to lift any way you want, or a little small waist that matches your skinny jeans? You gotta tuck your little
to effortlessly learn your first handstand, stop doing hundreds of these and these. Instead, measure the distance between your legs and the wall. Turn 180 degrees and place your hands right underneath your shoulders. Walk your feet up on the wall. Straighten your legs so your hips are perfectly in line with your shoulders and your wrists. Extend one leg up towards the roof. From here, you can try to go onto your tippy toes on that foot on the wall. Slowly try to find the balance. Good luck practicing your handstand.
Tell me, now you get it. Truth or dare. Are you playing? Truth or
my definition of success. Listening to what your heart says. Standing up for what you know is right.
Not gonna leave a party without ever letting you know. Without ever letting you know.
Here's 4 compound leg movements with kettlebells that'll work your core like crazy. The first 2 begin the same with a double kettlebell front rack position. You're going to perform either marches or a front squat. This is very challenging. This rack position is harder for most compared to a front squat with the same weight. It really demands a lot out of your core to not tip forward. Exercise 3 is a properly performed kettlebell swing, focusing on core stability and hinging about the hips. Learning to maintain spine stability during a fast hip hinge creates functional core stability. far more important than any strength you would get with exercises like sit-ups. And our last exercise is a reverse lunge with a single racked kettlebell like this. The offset load mimics real-life daily demands and challenges your core to maintain spine stability and not tip over.
The landmine is a tool a lot of you guys stay away from because you don't know how to use it. But when it comes to training functional, it's essential. You can push it, pull it, include rotation, drive through the kinetic chain, and get resistance at different planes of motion. Save this exercise and follow me for more if you want to train for performance, longevity, and athleticism. The landmine is a tool a lot of you guys stay away from because you don't know how to use it. But when it comes to training functional, it's essential. You can push it, pull it, include rotation, drive through the kinetic chain, and get resistance at different planes of motion. Save this exercise and follow me for more if you want to train for performance, longevity, and athleticism.
All day like, all night like, let's get it like, let's get it like, let's get it like, all day like,
If I could only do 3 kettlebell movements for the rest of my life, it would be these. Make sure you save this. The first movement is the snatch. This is pure power, developing explosive strength, sprinting level cardio, and a chiseled core from all the bracing. Plus, it builds the posterior chain, your lower back, glutes, and hamstrings, counteracting all that sitting that we do. Second movement is the thruster. This is where you build real muscle. A squat into a press, hitting the legs and shoulders, the hallmarks of an athlete. If you want broad shoulders, strong legs, and full body power, this is the move. And finally, the windmill. This is the cherry on top, strength, mobility, and control under load. It's like yoga on steroids, unlocking shoulder stability, thoracic mobility, core strength, and hip control all in one. If weightlifting, extreme cardio, and yoga had a baby, it would be kettlebell training. If you want to master the kettlebell while getting in fighting shape, hit the link in my bio. I will see you soon. Peace.
What the actual fuck is this US Marines ab workout who has one of the strongest cores in the world? So we start off with knee drives and right off the bat, just holy shit. And wait until you see the last exercise. Because now we have flutter kicks straight from hell. I should have used this against my siblings when I was little. Dude, thank God I'm not doing this in a public gym. Because someone would get thunder kicked in the head. Because we have yet another invincible sibling move. Imagine walking through the gym and someone just thunder fucks you in the head while doing these.
It's a rolling, not a stop. Watch shit don't never stop.
got a spot. I'm the best ever. There's no one that can match me. I'm the most brutal and vicious and most ruthless champion there's ever been.
You can't escape the fascial system. The idea that muscles attach to the skeleton and move the skeleton around is a really bad, really outdated, leftover from the way that we did the body, and we should get rid of that idea of the individual muscles moving the skeleton. The actual skeleton floats in a net of fascia. This is not some new age shibboleth that we're drawing out to try to say, oh, everything's connected to everything else. Everything is connected to everything else. It's the separations that science makes, which are useful for analysis, but then if we forget the fact that it is one unitary thing, then we lose the action of the whole unpredicted by the action of the parts. So we think if we understand this part and this part and this part and this part and how it works, that we can put all those parts together and come up with human movement. Well, kinesiology, you've had 150 years at this. How's that working out for you?